We're
Yeah,
live.
born. Oh, we're being recorded live on the YouTubes. Hello, Andy. We're live on the YouTubes for the film list.
Hello. It's
All
great to
right.
be here.
Yeah, I'm excited. All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the film list. My name is Heath Solo, and on the film list, what we do is we talk my 1,000 favorite films of all time. Now, we don't talk about all 1,000 in one shot. We try to do about 10, and I'm glad that I made a purchase on Apple for 9.99. That must be my monthly prescription subscription. But no, today we're the film list. Where you got a list, send it to us, the film list at gmail.com or dvrpodcast at gmail.com. And speaking of DVR, we're presented by the DVR Podcasting Network. If you're listening to this audio wise on the Apple Pods or Spotify or wherever, you can also watch us live on the Tube of You, aka YouTube. We're live right now. So if you're listening audio, we probably did this 3 years ago and it finally got released as The Joke Will Never Die, Andy. And with
No.
me, after he was just at dvrpodcast.com, and I think he went to patreon.com/DVR because Andy, for a couple of bucks a month, you can get exclusive pods early, ad free, and the very special Eloise Hawking pods. Uh, Andy, welcome back. My co host, my producer, my man of the hour.
I should say we are willing to do all 1,000, but we're going to have to do a 24-hour telethon, and the Patreon donations are going to have to skyrocket. And then we
Yeah,
will do all 1,000 films in one sitting. But
right.
we need a little more. We need a little more motivation to do that. I am
All
doing
right.
great, Solo. How about you? Are we ready to
Good.
do this?
Yeah, we're just a lot going on in downtown LA,
Yeah. How
unfortunately.
how are things? Are you doing okay out
I
there?
mean, I'm not I can get to downtown in a good amount of time. But it's not near me, of course, but it's just
Hmm.
it's we're doing this pod. It's time to like escape for a couple hours because unfortunately what's going on is just it's so sad.
Yes,
Very sad.
that's. I think that's said perfectly. Like any we've said this off air many times. Podcasting is a great stress relief, so it's just fun to be
Yeah.
doing this, and we get away and just talk about fun. Well, mostly a lot of fun movies tonight. Some not so
Well, it
fun
could
movies, but
yeah, it could be dark. Like last
yeah,
week, we talked about some dark times, dark films. I think Ando went all method actor on us and
that's
went to the you
yeah,
went into the you stayed in a hotel room, secluded yourself. Oh, wait a minute. That's a film we're talking about today.
yeah. Well, and there's actually a ton of award winners. This group of 10, there's 40 Academy Award nominations among these 10 films.
Whoa.
Four Best Picture nominees. So what we're talking about some big award winners tonight too, and some that probably aren't anywhere near, at least one anywhere near awards. And I can't wait
And,
to talk about that one. So
yeah, including actually what's going to be my fourth film that I've been in on the film list. We're going to be
that
talking about. That was
and
number
and
four.
unfortunately, it's very difficult to find that film. So
Yes, you have to if you don't have the DVD or knew someone 20 years ago.
yes,
Oh God, hard to believe it. 20 years ago. Oh, wow.
uh,
Anyway,
yeah.
uh, and also Ando, Axel, and I are covering Duster, the HBO series by J.J. Abrahams, aka J.J. Abrams, and Latoya Morgan, starring Josh Holloway, our boy, Sawyer from Lost, and many other things, Mi Amigo, and a lot of movies I liked him.
It's
Whisper.
and it's a great show, so you should be watching that show too.
Yes.
Great show, a lot of fun.
Yeah, this past week I wasn't on the pod, but so much fun. And you and Axel did an amazing job. I was dying because there was a lot of Lost references and it brought me back.
Way more than normal, but there's always
Honestly,
some, but
I was listening, and then when Axel started going really off on Lost, it kind of like I fell in love with Axel again. Because the first time I ever heard his beautiful voice was listening to Lost Mythos.
yep,
And
me
then
as too. Yep.
within a month, I reached out to him, and then we've been friends since. But it kind of brought me back, and I started reminiscing a
It
little
was
in
like
my
your first
head.
date, right?
Like the first, well, we don't want to. Me and Axel's first date was that was a rough one. Seedy motel, expired champagne, and a pack of cools.
That sounds like a very different podcast what we're going to do tonight.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, we would. Yeah, let's go. We're family fun. Filmless.
yes,
So,
yes.
so tonight we're going to be talking films 8:15 to 8:06. We ended at 8:16. Hey, I got it right this week. Miracle Mile was the last one we talked about. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about some interesting films, and I'm looking forward to it. It's funny because of course I make this list, and I'm tweaking it and stuff, and I look ahead and I try not to group things in 10, like you know how we do the 10,
Yeah,
and I'm trying not to be all finesse. For the Axel pod we did it because I wanted 5 films that he was going to talk about,
yeah.
and they all were kind of in that same range. But it's funny, I kind of like doing it, and then when we do the pod you bring up kind of, hey, by the way, it's Bill Camp's 82nd film we talk about. um or so it's fun. I did realize I was working on the list way ahead, and I realized there was 3 Tom Cruise movies in a row. So I moved one of them because I'm like, we can't be talking about all the, but I do
Oh,
love a lot of Tom Cruise movies.
that'd be okay. I mean, there's times like when the Beatles had 4 out of the top 5 songs in the country, so that kind of stuff can happen.
You're
So,
gonna lose that girl. You're gonna
yeah,
lose.
I should have used a different band as our to that we could talk about later tonight for that reference, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So,
We'll get to that. All right, Ando, do you want to start off at 8:15?
yeah, let's roll into this.
Wow, we're almost at 200
I know
films we've talked about.
we're almost a quarter of the way done.
Wow. I said it was going to be a 7-year mission. So I don't know. It's probably going to be
It's
about 9 or
It
10.
depends on how many trips to Portland we have, because when we go to Portland,
So
we
we
knock out
knock out 30, 40.
45, yeah, in 2 hours. So
Yeah, we did knock a lot out. Well, hey, you know, and just Brett
that's
sitting there, just watching us in the dark.
hey, that live studio audience, I think it helped. I still haven't listened back to that show. I should, but
God. Anyway,
let's 8:15. Let's go.
yeah, let's continue the sober 800s. All right, coming in at 8:15 at 11:30 p.m. on October 11th, 1975. A ferocious troupe of young comedians and writers changed television forever. Find out what happened behind the scenes in this 90 minutes leading up to the first broadcast of Saturday Night Live, the film Saturday Night on Netflix.
Released on October 11th, 2024. This is the newest film to make the film list. It passes The Substance, which we talked about with Axel. Directed by Jason Reitman. It's his first film list movie. Written by Gil Keenan and Jason Reitman. And another common theme of this episode is there is some massive casts, but there's such good ensemble casts that I went a little crazy with the cast listing. So,
I know
uh,
there's one movie especially that there's like
yes.
a million. Anyway,
Uh, Gabriel LaBelle as Lorne Michaels, Rachel Sennott as Rosie Schuster, Corey Michael Smith as Chevy Chase, Ella Hunt as Gilda Radner, Dylan O'Brien as Dan Aykroyd, Emily Farren as Lorraine Newman, Matt Wood as John Belushi, Lamorne Morris as Garrett Morris, no relation there as well.
okay.
Kim Matula as Jane Curtin, Finn Wolfhard as NBC Page, Robert Wool as Dave Wilson, John Batiste as Billy Preston, Cooper Hoffman, son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, as Dick Ebersol. Nicholas Braun, also known as Cousin Greg from Secession, as Andy Kaufman. And Nicholas Braun also playing Jim Henson.
Oh,
So
I did
dual
not
roles.
realize he did a
Yes.
duel.
And he is great. I don't think you've ever seen Succession, but he is one of the
No.
best characters on Succession. He's just really great in that as well. Willem Dafoe as Dave Tebbett and Matthew Reese as George Carlin. Saturday Night
Interesting
Solo.
casting. All right.
Yes.
So I just saw this a month ago.
Yeah, it just came on Netflix here a month or
Yeah,
two ago,
because
not
I
very
think
long.
they did release it in the theater, right?
Yep, it was kind of
Okay.
it didn't really do
Shorts,
super well,
limited
but
release.
yeah, they thought it was going to be an Oscar play and it didn't really
Mm.
happen. So,
Okay. So the reason why this makes it end so high, probably because I just saw it. but that could be a reason. But I like it here because so I was going in, I had it queued. because I'm a big SNL fan. My dad was really into SNL, and he used to tell me back in the 70s, you got home at 11 o'clock, wherever you were, you
Oh,
turned on the TV because
uh-huh.
that was
Uh-huh.
the thing to watch. Um, I remember seeing some in the 80s, kind of, but I was still young. The 90s is where a lot of my friends in high school were doing the Dieter and a lot of the, you
Yep.
know, the 90s stuff. And then, the Bears, the Bulls. And I mean,
Yeah.
that
Wayne's World, everything in there.
Wayne's
Yeah.
World, it was huge
Hmm.
when I was in high school. College, we were at the bars or at a party, so we didn't really watch it because we
Yeah.
didn't have a DVR then in the
Yep.
mid 90s, late 90s.
Yes.
Um, so I was curious. I'm like, I know a lot of the actors, the behind the scenes stuff. I do have the book Live from New York.
It's a great
Um,
book.
it's a
Great book.
really good book. I'm fascinated. Not only I'm fascinated how many people got fired from SNL, but it's just SNL fascinates me. Plus, SNL is as old as me. So I got
Hmm.
Jaws and SNL, and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest winning the Oscar at 75.
That's
There's a
that's pretty
lot,
good. That's
lot
pretty
of other
good.
things,
Yeah.
but they used to sell those CDs. Like there's this ArcLight Theater. It's not there anymore, but on Sunset
Hmm.
or Hollywood Boulevard, one of them in West Hollywood. And they had like a cool gift shop with cool books and cool trinkets. And they had these like mixed CDs from your birth year, but but they weren't the greatest because they didn't have big bands. It was more covers or
Oh, yep.
songs that were popular, but maybe, it didn't have like the Beatles on it or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I remember 75, a year to remember. So I started getting nostalgic for my birthday year. Anyway, so when I sat down to watch this one late night, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how they're going to go about doing it. Um, I was fascinated and so excited how they did it because it's shot in a way, it's almost like following a camera throughout this
Yeah.
whole experience. And it was fast paced. The acting was great. I got to see some of the things that you hear about, and you're like, is that true? But it's okay. That's two sources. Maybe it is true. I mean, J.K. Simmons playing
Yeah.
Milton Berle,
Oh, I didn't
and
have J.K. Simmons on the
no,
cast list. How did I skip him? Yes.
whipping out the
Yeah,
schlong, if you
with
will.
him and Chevy Chase, the him and Chevy Chase thing was crazy in this.
I fell in love with this movie, and it's exactly what I wanted. It had that 70s vibe, but it had that gritty kind of, it was well directed, and the acting I thought was spot on. I really enjoyed this film a lot, and this is one I'm definitely going to rewatch in time because I just, it captured the essence of SNL, especially. I thought they were going to go through like 5 years of SNL. But then when you read it, it's one night. But it's the first time that this aired. It's the 90
Yeah.
minutes up to, and I didn't realize. Like I was fascinated. I did realize, but the whole like people like, what is this show about? And I don't know,
Yes.
and just like it's just the chances they took to do this variety type comedy show on network television at 11:35 at night or whatever, 11:30, and I'm so fascinated by it, and I felt this film brought it to life, and I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I didn't see it till it hit Netflix either, but I've also always been a massive SNL. I've been on 3 or 4 pods with Axel where we've talked about SNL, and yeah, like
Yeah.
I basically like late 80s all the way through probably 2017 or 2018. I don't think I missed an episode. So I
Oh
mean,
wow.
I once they got to COVID, and then I fell off a little bit, and
Right.
I'll still occasionally watch it, but not like I used to. So like I've read the books, I mean every just consume anything SNL because I'm just fascinated by the process of how it works, and besides just like enjoying the production stuff. And
Right.
I really liked it. I don't. It didn't. This one I want to watch again too. I like the fact that it was just the 90 minutes beforehand. It wasn't. It wasn't like the greatest hits where they flash forward and then we see who's somebody playing Eddie Murphy. Then we flash forward to see Will Ferrell, and I
Yeah.
didn't want that. I think I'm not sure what something about it didn't quite raise it to top tier for me. I think this is a good spot for it because it's still very good. and I like most of the cast. I especially loved, and I didn't realize who it was till I looked it up. The guy playing Garrett Morris, Lamorne Morris, was the cop in Fargo, this last season of Fargo.
That's who that was. Okay.
And I'm like, man, I love this guy, and I know I've seen him before, and I had to look it up. So he was in,
Good
and I
call.
loved him in Fargo, and I thought
He's great.
Dylan O'Brien as Dan Aykroyd was particularly great. The guy playing Lorne Michaels was also really good. The the one guy that I was like a little on was John Belushi, who I know it's impossible to play John Belushi.
Yeah, I it almost seems like if you're playing Belushi, there's so many ways, different ways you can go.
Hmm.
I took it as, granted, it's a film. It's not, I mean, it's kind of a biopic-ish, but not really, not really.
Yeah,
It's not about
it's
Belushi.
it's kind of a biopic of SNL. It's like the
Yeah,
biography of SNL,
yeah.
kind of almost.
It I know he was freaking nuts because
Yeah.
that's like Chris Farley just
Hmm.
totally wanted to party like Belushi and die. I mean, he
Yep.
literally talks about it.
Yep.
Um, and it for me it worked because now I'm not gonna say he was the perfect Belushi because I don't know what the perfect what the perfect
That's
Belushi is, John Belushi.
yeah.
But
That's the thing is how do you even
it's hard. But I thought with what they were going, how crazy he was, and how is he gonna show up? Is he gonna do? I think it works for the film,
hmm
but he wasn't necessarily the centerpiece of the film. So I think that's why I was more okay with. I thought he did a good job. I thought he had a lot of good traits, but I
Yeah.
just don't know what do I want from a Belushi, someone playing Belushi? I don't know.
And I think maybe because I've thought about this one a lot since I've watched it. And I think maybe what I wanted was maybe a little bit smaller cast. And I mean, I know they wanted to get everybody in there that was part of the
Right.
show. So you put everybody in there, but like a lot of stuff I would have loved to have seen more of, like Cooper Hoffman, that was Dick Ebersol when going back and forth against Lorne Michaels, I can't Gabriel LaBelle. I loved all their stuff. I would have loved to have seen another 10 or 15 minutes of that, but I also get the whole you want to get everybody some screen time kind of thing too.
Yeah.
So it would have made for an awesome TV series as well. But
Yeah.
but you also said like the way this is filmed, it is almost filmed kind of like very kinetic, very a lot of energy, and like by the end of it, I was like almost exhausted because it's
Me
really
too. You felt
propulsive
like
and yeah.
you were part of, I mean, down to the guy putting the bricks back or whatever, and
Yeah,
then
oh
finally
yeah,
the
the
guy's
bricks
helping him.
thing.
Like that was
Yes.
awesome.
Yep.
Um, I gotta say, Matthew Rhys as George Carlin is pretty good. Like
Yes.
you don't expect it because he doesn't look like necessarily George Carlin, but he had the essence of him.
Yeah,
Like
and
he,
I loved it because he didn't, like I said, didn't look like him. It didn't really even sound like Carlin. But if you've watched any Carlin, he played. You're right. He had the essence of Carlin. It was
yeah.
great. Just
And
I
I'm
loved
o-
him in this.
and I'm okay with that because I know what happens is, I mean, granted, there's makeup and stuff, but they try sometimes too hard. If someone looks like a person, but they maybe can't act, they still go with it.
Yep.
And a lot of certain channel of a movies do this. One time I lost a role, so it was the story like Star 80 about the model who was
Yeah.
killed.
Yeah.
So they were doing. It was weird. They were doing another movie, but it was only going to be shown in Japan. This was like early 2000s. So, and it was weird was, I mean, my agent in San Diego, because they were casting out of San Diego, and I used to have an agent down there. So I would do the drive, the 2 hour drive each way, just
hmm
to read for shows. This is when I was starting out. And it's weird because the auditions were in a hotel room, but it was actually legit.
Huh.
But then I didn't really
Okay.
know. I didn't know. Like
Yeah.
it was at a pretty nice hotel, but I was like, okay, this isn't normal. But at the time, and this was what happens in the 70s. I mean, this happened a lot where
Yeah.
you'd have luckily, nothing bad happened, but I nailed it. I booked the gig. Wardrobe's calling me. I mean, getting all ready to get. Then a week later, they call up and they go, "We're sorry, we're going with someone else." And I was like, "What?" Yeah, I mean, our wardrobe's already calling me. They said, "Well, the guy we're casting is not as good as an actor as you, but he looks just like Jeff Galooly or what? Not Jeff Galooly, but that's the." And I
Oh.
was like, because he was more. I mean, I was thin then, but I think he had that look of what the real life guy was or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And they said they're just going to deal with it. My agent told me they're just going to deal with this bad
Uh,
acting because I don't know if they were dubbing it. It was
yeah.
the issue. Anyway.
Well, they did a lot of
So
strange things like with Japanese productions they used to do, like all the ads and all like
yeah,
DiCaprio and all those people have made millions of dollars making ads for over
yeah.
there that we've never seen and things like that. It's a
Now it's
strange,
cool to be in commercials
yeah,
because what
yeah.
they're doing it now, they're using a lot of non-union actors, but they'll hire like someone famous. They'll pay the money there, and then because that's what my agent was telling me. He goes, "There's a lot of these commercials that they're just hiring non-union because it's cheaper." And
And
it's like,
just have one big paycheck and then give peanuts to everybody else.
yeah, you don't get residuals with non-union.
Yep.
You get a buyout. So you could pay
Ugh.
someone $2,000 to do a couple of days, and then
And that's
that's all you have
it.
to pay them. Anyway, but so I'm glad I liked. Now J.K. Simmons seems. I mean, he played in the I Love Lucy movie, but what's his name? Furley? No, not Furley.
Oh, yeah.
William Frawley. William
Yeah.
Frawley. And it seems like he's the go-to guy for these older Hollywood
Well,
types.
and in this case, he's pretty much been in every Jason Reitman film. I mean,
Right.
maybe not all of them, but he had a big role in Juno. He had a big role in Up in the Air. I mean, so I know he's been in, I think him and Reitman might be buddies because they're in a lot of movies together. Maybe not
Oh,
all of
cool.
them, but quite a
But
few.
yeah, quite a few. But I this film just did it for me, Ando. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. So it's one of the rare films that I just saw and I'm throwing it in. New
Yeah, no,
films. Because
I
sometimes
still,
I'll
yeah.
watch some older films I know I'm gonna love. I'll watch it and be like, why didn't I watch this 20 years ago? But
Well, and it's always harder with newer films to stick them into a list like this, just because most
very
of these
hard.
films you've lived with for a very long time, and your thoughts have either changed or they've kind of not changed, but they've kind of formed into what they're going to be. And I'm looking forward to rewatching this one sometime again in the future because I did really enjoy it. So I'm guessing I'll love it more the more times I see it because
Well, you may not. It may
well,
not have worked for you. It didn't work
I
for
have a
you, really.
feeling though. Well, I mean, I still liked it a lot. I have a feeling too.
Yeah.
This is one of those ones where they have a lot of stuff like Easter eggs and stuff in the actual. Like you see little things of like the famous thing where they keep recurring over the years with the llama walking the halls. You see that in the background of one shot, and you see stuff like that. So I'm guessing there's
Yeah.
tons of SNL Easter eggs in this that I didn't because like I said, it's so frenetic and you're watching and so many things going on all levels of the screen that I'm guessing a rewatch actually will improve this
Yeah,
even
because
more.
it a lot is going on. It's hard to catch in one watch
Yeah.
everything that's going on. Because
Hmm.
that's what I loved about it. There's so much going on,
Yeah.
and you're focused on maybe Chevy Chase talking to, and but there's that going on, that going on. So
And you feel like you're backstage at a production, at a giant production. So
yeah,
it's very well done.
and
So
also I think to just the last thing I'll say about this film, as you know, we've already gone an hour. No, I'm just kidding. Um, is that um the fact that there's so many characters and maybe we don't get enough, but there's if you're gonna do it this way, the 90 minutes leading up, it's impossible
yeah,
to have more.
and
So, but it
I mean
makes you want more.
and
Does make you want more.
I get why it's 90 minutes because the show itself is 90 minutes. So they're doing the 90 minute. I mean,
Yeah,
it totally makes sense. So yeah, it's and like I said, I think this is one that will improve for me the longer I think about it and watch it. So because it's so new, like I said, it's hard to slot it exactly
we're
where you want to
due.
go. So
We're due for a movie that you just say, "I hate this movie." Solo, you talk, and let's move on. I'm waiting for it. Probably coming up, I'm sure. Okay, coming in at 8:14. Ando, you ready?
I
Um,
I have been waiting to talk about this next one. So
okay, I'm eager to find out what your thoughts are. During a 3-day heat wave just before a huge 4th of July celebration, an action star stricken with amnesia meets up with a porn star who's developing her own reality TV project and a policeman who holds the key to a vast conspiracy. The film Southland Tales.
premiered at the Cannes Film Festival in competition for the Palme d'Or on May 21st, 2006. Released a year and a half later in the US, November 14th, 2007. Made $275,000 on a $17 million budget.
Oh, this could be one of the biggest bombs on the
It,
film list.
it opened at number 33 its first weekend in the box office. Solo Southland Tales. Let's get into this insane. Oh, no. Yeah. I guess should read the cast list because this cast list is incredible.
Yeah.
Written and directed by Richard Kelly, who also made Donnie Darko famously. Starring Dwayne Johnson as Boxer Santeros, Sean William Scott as Ronald and Roland Taverner. Sorry, I'm going to spoil it because I'm going to spoil the hell out of this movie. So,
That's fine. We're
um,
spoiling.
Sarah Michelle Gellar as Krista Karpowski, Mandy Moore as Madeline Frost Santeros, Justin Timberlake as Private Pilot Abilene, Miranda Richardson as Nana Mae Frost, Wallace Shawn as Baron von Westphalen, Bai Ling as Serpentine, John Larroquette as Vaughn Smallhouse, Christopher Lambert as Walter Mung, Amy Poehler as Veronica Mung, John Lovitz as Bart Bookman, and there's many, many others, so I had to
There's
cut it
a
off
ton.
somewhere.
There's a ton.
Southland Tales solo.
Okay.
Please, let's go.
So let's go. Okay. First of all, okay, I'm just going to go and then I'll get your reaction. This film, to I really like this film. It fascinated me when it came out because I don't think I was ever as into like a weird movie. This was like one of my first weird movies that just I loved. And a lot of it was when I saw the trailer, the visuals. The visuals really got me. Like I love the army guy moving with
Mm-hmm.
the, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I freaking so I was like, this is interesting. I knew about The Rock. The Rock wasn't, I don't think huge. Yeah, he was kind of big, but this was a different movie.
Yeah,
He
this was a
what
little change up of what he had been doing. Yeah.
okay, so this film was strange. It even has my boy from The Wire in it. I don't know if we had that on the list.
I don't think so because I left
Okay.
off probably 10 or
Forget his
15
name.
other
I'm so sorry. I
notable
forgot his
actors.
name. Oh, Wood. Wood. Uh,
Let me bring up the cast list here.
okay. While you bring it up, what because he deserves because he's so good. Um, so it was bizarre and like I had some futuristic things, and I was just so into this film. And it really, I love my favorite thing of the whole film though is that freaking dance sequence to the Killers. I forget the song.
Yeah, I don't remember
I
the name of
get
the
the
song is,
song.
but yes.
Oh, I can't believe it. Um, I'm not a soldier. I got
Oh,
soul, but I'm
yeah,
not a
I got soul, but I'm
soldier.
not a
That song.
soldier. Yes.
So, so there's this whole like dance sequence, and actually one of my wife listening, one of the girls in it, I might have had a little thing one night stand with.
Oh,
But
nice.
anyway, this was early Hollywood stuff. Cool girl. But it was just like it was like I think it was him in his mind, but it was like this whole dance number to the Killer song, and I just freaking ate it up.
I didn't realize
Um,
that was the Killers. So I'm going to talk about when I get into my stuff about this movie. I'm going to talk about that sequence too. So you
all the
continue though.
things that I've done. I think
Wood
that's the
Harris
name
is
of the
the
song.
actor's
Wood
name I'm thinking
Harris.
of.
Wood Harris. All the things that I've done. I think that all the things that I've done. I think is the name of the song. Uh, at the time, it was like one of my favorite songs, and I'm glad I remember the freaking title. Anyway, so I actually gave this movie to my friend Mark for his birthday. I was like, "You got to watch this," because he smokes a lot of weed and stuff. Or what? I'm like, "This is the perfect movie. Just
I'm
chill
pretty
out,
sure the
watch
makers of this were definitely on something,
um a little
maybe multiple things.
aceto,
Yes.
mushroom. Um, so yeah, so this is a unique film, and it just for the time, it was like my favorite film for like that year, or at least half the year. I mean, I watched it multiple times and just I fell in love with it. I'll be honest. So Ando,
So have
what a
do you
and
know
I
much
first saw it
about
at home. I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it at
well,
home.
by the 275K that it made, I don't think more than a few people
Yeah,
saw it in the
I
theater.
don't even
So
know. Yeah, exactly.
so have you seen the other there's two versions of this. Have you do you know about this whole thing? Because the version
I'm
at
not
Cannes that
sure.
premiered is like almost 3 hours long and it got booed mercilessly. That's why it waited over a year to be released.
I must have
Because
saw the cut
the
version.
recut version has came out. You can actually see that it's called the Cannes cut. You can actually see it now. And it adds it's just even more insanity and just this because I had seen this way back when because I was even back then I was a big fan of The Rock. So I'm like, oh, I'll check this out. It looks strange. And I remember thinking this is weird. I hadn't thought about it again, but I had heard about the different cut, and I'm like, someday I need to watch that different cut, which I watched just recently for the first time ever,
Oh,
maybe a month or so ago. Because I'm like,
wow.
I remember this being because shit, 2006, that's almost 20 years ago, or 2007. So it's like I
Yeah.
didn't remember I just remember it being weird, and that's all I remembered. So I rewatched the thing, and this film is absolutely nuts. And I think it's this is going to sound crazy, but some of the acting and stuff in this thing is so gloriously over the top.
Hmm.
It feels like in some ways it's almost as bad as something like Showgirls in the way that they overact, but I loved it.
Right.
For some reason in this
It's
movie,
weird.
I
It
loved it. Like
works.
I don't know what it's so great. Like Amy Poehler is so and John Lovett. There's a ton of SNL old SNL people in this. Nora Dunn. What's her? I can't
No,
think.
I didn't do this
Yes.
on purpose, folks. We talk about
Um,
Saturday night.
Sherry O'Terry has a big role, like a
Sherry
ton of
O'Terry.
but none of them are funny. The funny people are other. There was a couple times in this where I was literally laughing out loud. I thought I was going to wake people up in the house because I was watching it. But the I'm going to just list off a few crazy things because, like I said, if you
Yeah.
haven't watched this, it's just okay. Kind of like the Jason Takes Manhattan. I think was the one where I went off on a bunch of crazy things. But
Well, that's for different reasons.
yes. Okay. There's a point where a Japanese businessman agrees to remove his finger for access to something called liquid karma. But instead of cutting off his finger, they come off and just slice off his whole hand, and blood gushes everywhere like it's Kill Bill. Kevin Smith shows up wearing insane makeup and hair. You don't even know it's Kevin Smith. You hear his voice. If you know Kevin Smith's voice, you obviously like, is that Kevin Smith? Yeah, the Justin Timberlake thing you were talking about, for one thing, and I don't know if this was in both cuts, but throughout the movie, he does a narration where he's quoting scripture every like half an hour, 20 minutes, where he does a voiceover thing. The musical number, at first I thought it was Timberlake singing, but no, it's him lip syncing this song in a blood-soaked like wife beater, drinking
Yep.
a Budweiser, dancing around in an arcade.
Yep.
It's the The Rock plays an actor, and Krista, Sarah Michelle Gellar is a porn star. They wrote a script that accurately predicted the future, and in that future, there's a rift in space time. They're launching monkeys into a different dimension, and in order to save the universe, they have to launch the movie star into the same rift of the universe. If they don't, the fourth dimension will collapse upon itself. I mean, there's a floating ice cream truck that floats like half a mile off the ground. There's a dance off between Sarah Michelle Gellar and Mandy Moore to fight over the Rock. Um, oh, and they figure out time travel. Just on top of all this too, time travel, and it's like there's a line repeated like 18 different, no, not 18, like 4 or 5 different times. Pimps don't commit suicide, so you just have to remember that if you're a pimp, you can't commit suicide. I mean, it's just this was just one of the most insane movies. I wish I would have watched this, rewatched this earlier because it is so crazy.
Oh my God, it is. And I didn't know about the 3 hour version. I cannot wait to freaking
Yes,
see it.
it's even more
So
insanity.
the listeners, our friends, everyone knows. I mean, I love serial killer movies, dramas, all kinds of stuff. But I have this sliver of my being, of my mind, that just enjoys sometimes a wacky ass movie. And for whatever reason, it clicked for like there's another movie, it's not as wacky, that's later on the film list, but Across the Universe, that
Oh,
sings all the
yes.
Beatles songs.
Mm-hmm.
The direction of that, the shot selection, just I just love uh Julie Taymor directed it.
Oh, yeah. Well, she came from
Uh,
Broadway too, I think.
yeah,
So,
she did the Lion King, I think, on Broadway
yes,
or something
I
like that.
believe you're right. Yep.
But I thought that was such a well-directed film visually. And so sometimes, like I said, I get sucked in and then it was so weird. Now, see, I'll watch the Crank movies that are batshit, and I don't really like them.
Yeah.
I don't, it's weird. Like I have selective, crazy, messed up movies that I do like.
Well,
It it
this is a
stems
very
from,
different level of that than that. Like something like Crank. Yeah, they're both weird, but it's you can't
I know
compare
what you mean.
this to some. Yeah.
I'm just the levels.
Yeah.
Um, because you know how like Brick sets a world. It's not as crazy
Yeah.
nearly as Southland Tales, but it's something about creating a new world. And
Hmm.
I either buy in or I don't buy in. And for the time, 2007, when I saw this, it all clicks for me. And I'm like, I'm glad I like a strange movie. Like I
Yeah.
do, it's weird. I do like some strange, and I never thought I would because I never really did. I mean, the strangest movie as like growing up that I like was probably like Time Bandits, maybe was the strange
Yeah. Well,
one of the strange. I mean, that's not
there's some
batshit crazy, but
there's some
it's
strange.
fantasy.
That's one I'm actually saving to rewatch because I haven't watched that in a long time, and I know it's coming soon on the film list.
Yeah,
So I'm looking forward to rewatching it.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I
I
am
haven't
looking
either.
forward. I
I
remember the horse coming through the bedroom. Anyway, um, and
Yes,
Sean
I
Connery.
have
So
the
Sean
Criterion
Connery
Blue.
make an appearance.
Yes, I have the Criterion Blu-ray sitting on my shelf, so I'm greatly looking
All
forward to
right.
watching it. So,
Even though I said I wouldn't buy any more Blu-rays, I may have to purchase that.
yeah.
So, anyway, so yeah, it's just one of those bizarre films that just and I think too a lot of it when Justin Timberlake was starting to act, I was rooting
Mhm.
for him. I just liked the dude. I
I,
just liked the dude. And so I think The Rock was I mean, I like Mandy Moore. I mean, she was in a great movie called Aquaman with Vinny Chase. Remember?
oh yes, yes.
Or did she leave? Wait, she might have left, remember, because they
I
used
think
to
she,
date.
yeah, I
Did
think
she
she did.
quit? Did
I
she
don't
quit?
remember.
Anyway,
I think she did.
anyway.
Yeah, this one, it's definitely like I said, so this, it's not a lot of, I would not recommend this movie to most people. That's the weird thing is like, of all the, because I have lots of people, I'm sure you do too, have people ask you for recommendations all the time. And just because they know we podcast and all that kind of stuff. And I
Right,
don't,
right.
there's certain people I would say, hey, you got to watch this thing. But like when I see like the Rotten Tomato score, the IMDb rating score is like 45% or something on this film. And it's like I watch the movie, I'm like, you know what? I still love this movie, but I can totally see why it got that. I can see why somebody would hate it. Because
Understood. Yeah.
the acting, but I think it's intentionally poor acting. I think it's like
It's
they're
this
trying to be
weird,
over the top and
yeah, not like Flash Gordon, but it's like got that they're kind of like supposed to be Shakespearean, but not good Shakespearean.
yeah,
It's kind of like a
yeah,
different, yeah.
yeah. So it's I don't it's just I it's another one just well not like the last one but it's one where I'm like I have got to watch this more often because it's just so and even like halfway through it I was like is this great or is this brilliant or is this garbage? I couldn't tell, which sometimes that's just fun to watch a
Right.
movie like that.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm really glad I actually went and rewatched and saw the long version because I probably would I kind of forgot about it until I saw it on your list and I'm like, oh yeah,
I'm
Southland
glad
Tales.
I never knew
Yes.
that. Or maybe I'm sure I did, but
Yeah,
may,
the longer cut is like 160 minutes or 170 minutes or something. It's very long. It adds like an extra half an hour or
I'm
more.
wondering if I've seen it. I don't know now,
It's I know it's been released on a couple of Blu-rays, like on an Arrow special edition or
but
one of
was it
those.
after
It was
20?
after the original release, I
Okay,
think. I don't
then
know
I
though.
haven't seen it. Then I haven't seen it because I had the original I guess Blu-ray, maybe DVD. I can't even remember. No, Blu-ray. I would have been on Blu-ray already.
So so yeah, that
Hey,
was a fun one to revisit. So
all right. Now let's move on to a kick-ass movie, not called Kick-Ass. All right, coming in at 813 on the film list in Mexico City, Endo. A former CIA operative swears vengeance on those who committed an unspeakable act against the family he was hired to protect. The film, ah, Man on Fire. I was on fire. Invisible Fire. Invisible Fire. Sorry.
that, for anyone listening to the podcast, that was what that little scraping noise was.
Oh, yes,
Um,
that's true. We're live
Re
on YouTube.
released on April 23rd, 2004, made 77 million on a $70 million budget. It opened at number one, dethroning a different revenge film that I'm guessing we will be talking about in a long time, Kill Bill Volume 2.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
that's a top
Directed
100.
by Tony Scott, his first film to make the film list. Written by
Yeah.
Brian Helgeland, based on the book by A.J. Quinnell. This is the second adaptation of Man on Fire. There was also a version in 1987 starring Scott Glenn, Joe Pesci, Brooke Adams, Jonathan Price, and Danny Aiello.
What? I did not know
Yes.
that.
Yeah, I have not seen it, but yes, that's the second adaptation. And another fun fact is this film was remade. It wasn't another adaptation of this, but it was remade by in a Bollywood studio. So somewhere in India, there's a version of Man on Fire. Yes.
Wow. Man
The
on
Kirk.
Curry.
Yes,
That's
that must be it.
that's terrible.
Uh,
No, if it was Italian, I would have said man on pizza,
yeah,
rigatoni, man on rigatoni.
just make some farmersonly.com jokes too, and then we can cover
And then
both of
we're full
those.
circle. And then
Yes.
Axel's Irish jokes. And
Yeah, this, starring Denzel Washington as John W. Creasy, Dakota Fanning as Lupita Ramon, Rhoda Mitchell as Lisa Ramon, Christopher Walken as Paul Rayburn, Mark Anthony as Samuel Rayburn, or Ramon, sorry, excuse me.
I
Giancarlo
need to
Giannini
know. I need to know. Oh, sorry.
as what did I say? Oh, Giancarlo Giannini as Miguel Manzano, Mickey Rourke as Jordan Kalfas, and Rachel Ticotin, I can never get her name right, as
Tick,
Mariana
tick, tick, tick.
Garcia Guerrero. So, Man on Fire. I actually didn't see this until maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It was one of those ones that just kind of
Really?
slipped through the
Slip through the
cracks.
cracks.
And I finally like, you know what? I should watch this. I never just had a bored Saturday night, late night by myself, and I actually enjoyed it a lot. I was one of the ones I was like, oh, I should have watched this a long time ago. So,
Saw this in
Man
the
on Fire.
theater. Saw this in the theater, Ando, and a few times on.
Hmm.
Axel's excited about the man on curry. Anyway, he just texted. Uh, anyway, so of course, huge Denzel fan. I mean, I when Denzel's in a movie, it's a good chance I'm
Yes.
watching it. Let's just put it that
Yes.
way. Um, but it's just he because I believe I can't. He's a drunk, right? Isn't he a drunk?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Alcoholic. Yep. I
He's an
did not rewatch
alcoholic.
that for this night, but yes, I did. I
Yeah,
watched
the
one of those
alcoholic.
little
He's protecting
recap
Dakota
things. Yeah.
Fanning and little and yeah. When he goes on the revenge tour, oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. And actually, I don't want to spoil it, but the ending is freaking wow.
Yeah.
Like what he does. I
Hmm.
mean, he's got a past. He's trying to make things right, but he's not the greatest guy, but he's, whatever.
Yeah.
But like he goes on this revenge kick and what he has to do to save the girl. Um, Pretty impressive. That's what really brought this film full circle. It's not a super happy Hollywood ending, but it makes
No, it's
sense.
it's a little
It
it's on the dark side for sure.
it is because
But
I
I
want
mean,
Ando back in that dark corner. Like,
it's and I
um,
mean it is a revenge. I mean, revenge flicks are they're most of them aren't exactly happy and cheery, anyways. So,
yeah,
and I think Dakota Fanning is good again too. I mean, we talked about her in War of the
she's
Worlds.
so good.
She's just a damn good actress. There's
Yeah,
no doubt about it. Even back then, and she was not very old when they made this, and she's excellent. The whole cast is good. Like I say, Christopher Walken is at his creepiest. Rhoda Mitchell, who I
you
always thought
know,
she would be a bigger deal, and she
I
never
would.
really took
Damn it,
off.
Ando, you stole my thunder. I. It's funny you say that because when we were going, you were reading the cast list. I'm like Rhoda Mitchell. I mean, she's great actress, very good looking, and was
Yeah.
like in some really good stuff. But yeah, you're right. I thought she'd be like, and it could be by choice. Maybe she's. I mean, wasn't she in a Woody Allen movie? I think she was in a Woody Allen movie
Oh, was
too.
she in a Woody
One
Allen
of his
movie?
less popular
The
ones.
thing I
Yeah,
always
she
think of her
was.
from is Pitch Black. I was with Vin Diesel. I was a big fan of that, and I
I
thought she was
forgot about
great
she
in
was in
that
it.
because she's
Yeah,
like the if she's not the captain of the ship, she's one of the people that kind of becomes in
right.
charge or something like that.
She's
And
great, man.
yeah.
I'm a huge fan.
Hmm.
And so there's a lot of leading ladies, and another one that I really liked that kind of remember, Deborah Kara Unger,
Oh
who was
yes.
in the game,
Yep.
uh,
The game.
was
She
in
was
that,
also the other Crash, not the Academy Award winning one,
yes,
but the
the
one with
Cronenberg one,
Spader. Yeah.
Spader, and it was that the game. She was in this. It was interesting. I think it was after Thomas Jane did Deep Blue Sea and stuff. He did this movie called Stander, and it was
Oh,
like
I
this.
remember hearing about it, but I don't think I ever
I
watched it.
saw it in the theater, and well, save it for another day. I don't think it's not gonna make the film list, but I remember thinking it's good, but it wasn't exactly what I expected.
Uh-huh.
Um, anyway, I don't remember the movie a lot. I remember thinking it was pretty good, but it felt like more like a foreign film. Well, I think he was playing different, but anyway, I have to revisit that one.
Yeah.
But
But
there's
you're
certain
definitely
women in
right. They're both of them.
Hollywood
Yeah.
that you wonder, like, maybe they did some TV, maybe they had, decided to take a break. I mean, when you make good money and you're a star, you can, that's the beauty thing. You
Yeah.
can, if you want to stay home with your kids or have kids or,
Yep.
you know, so it's nice to have that luxury, but it's just like, remember us fans, forget your kids. What
Yeah,
about us? No, I'm just
exactly.
kidding.
Exactly. Yeah, I think I saw something recently. And why am I drawing a blank? She was the girl in True Lies and Bring It On, Les Dushku. She like
Oh yeah.
retired from acting and she's like a therapist somewhere on the East Coast now.
Is she really?
Yes, that was
Well,
some article I saw came with. So I mean, and
what
she's obviously made plenty of money, so why not?
what best to become a therapist going through Hollywood from a young age? I think she
Yeah,
can help people.
I am sure she can. So yeah, I don't blame if people want to leave. I wouldn't blame them either. It's just like a pro athlete plays for 4 or 5 years and makes a ton of money and retire. I would never blame somebody. I might be disappointed if I'm a fan of theirs, but
Right.
hey, man, I
What's
wouldn't.
funny? You know, Speaking of like Mickey Rourke, right? So, I mean, there's the big story pretty much in the 90s. I mean, he was in all these bad movies, couldn't
Hmm.
get insurance because he was just, but Tony Scott seemed to still hire, he hired him for this,
Yep.
Domino, like,
Hmm.
and then of course, after The Wrestler, Mickey Rourke then was doing huge films.
Yeah, for a
Um,
little while there, and
it was a nice big comeback.
he hasn't done much in the last couple of years again, has he? That
Not
hasn't been independent.
not
I haven't
big,
seen
big.
him.
I
Yeah,
I think he's been in some indie stuff, but nothing like not Iron Man 2 and
yeah. I'm sure
like,
that's kind of where he peaked, for at least for
yeah,
but big budget stuff.
yeah.
But I did read something that him and Denzel did not get along on this movie at all.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that was true or not. You never know when you're reading that kind of stuff, but
You don't know. Yeah, maybe
that
maybe they
happens.
didn't. You never know because like you get a Denzel and a Mickey Rourke in a film, right? They have years and years of
Yeah.
being in this business. You don't know if at a party Mickey Rourke was a dick to Denzel
Yep.
or he
It
had
could be
sex with
anything.
someone that,
Yeah.
there's so many things we forget about. Like
There's still real
Hollywood
people and real things
and
happen.
and
Yep.
and it's this circle, and
Yep.
a lot of people know so it's this whole. So keep that in mind, people, when
Hmm.
you're like, why did they get along? Maybe not just he, the work ethic. I don't know if this time, because Mickey Rourke had talked about when he was on The Rainmaker, so
Yep.
around this time as well, um, where he told Matt Damon like, don't make the same mistakes I did. He goes, everyone you see on set, call him Mister, or and be
Yeah.
cordial to everyone, and
Don't
it
be
was
an
like,
asshole. Yeah.
don't be an asshole, pretty much. Yeah, don't be an asshole. And I don't. I think I read that somewhere. I don't know if that's true, but it would
Hmm.
make a lot of sense because he's starting to do a little comeback in the late 90s. Like he's
Yep.
getting better work. Um, so yeah, little man on fire, Ando. Anything you'd like to share?
The only other things that I did realize too, there's actually five more novels, so six novels in total that feature the Creasy character.
Oh
So
wow.
I didn't realize that was a big book guy. And also one thing I can't believe I didn't ever pick it up watching it, but I was reading an interview with Tony Scott, and he said most of the visual look for this was inspired by City of God. Have you seen City of God,
You know what?
the
I've never
Brazilian?
seen City of God. I've never seen
You
it.
should put that on your to list watch.
Okay.
It's probably my favorite foreign film ever made,
Oh
and
wow.
it's definitely it's a gangster thing. I mean, I think you will really,
Okay.
but it's the visual style of this, how it's very kinetic and the shots are going all over the place. It's very much, and a lot of the color schemes are the same. And so check it out. I think you would
Why
really.
haven't I seen City of God? I think I might confuse it with another movie title. And I think when I hear City of God, I think it's that movie. I think that's what
Yeah,
it is. I don't know what that movie is right now, Ando, live on the
there's a
film
couple of
list,
them
but
that kind of sound that same. They have either city or God in
City
the
of
title, and it's
Gold or like, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. There's
it's there's
some,
a ton of them. Yeah, or
okay.
City of Angel. I mean, there's all different kinds of city titles. So, but yeah,
Oh, is
City
that
of
that
God
Nicolas
is
Cage Angel movie?
yes,
What,
it was City of Angels.
little
Yes,
Goo Goo Dolls or
yeah.
song or whatever?
Well, and the City of God thing, they also made like a sequel TV series on HBO a couple years ago. I never actually watched that. Didn't get great
Me?
reviews, I don't think.
Okay.
But yeah, City of God is it's fantastic. So I highly
I'll check
recommend
it
it. I
out.
think you would love that one. So
All
yeah,
right.
otherwise I don't really. Oh, that Bollywood film was released in 2005 in December, so not long after this came out, actually, in India as Ek Ajnabi.
Oh yeah.
Also, titled "A
Axel
Man
went to
Apart" is
Rutgers
one
with
of
him.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. So yeah, the next let's that might be just be a good time to go to the next one because I know you have a lot to say about this
I have a
film.
lot to say about the next one. All right. Coming in at number 812 is a film that I was in. Part was written for me. And I have a lot to share. I won't go into every detail, but I got a lot to say. So on this extra long packed
By
film
watching the
list.
clips that you sent me, I can definitely tell that it was written for you. It seemed perfect. It was like actually talking to you. So,
Yeah.
well,
Uh,
you're a little bit meaner in the clips, but it was your sense
I
of humor
am. I
definitely
am
came
kind of
through.
mean in this movie. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. Searching for his identity, a young writer pledges to his dysfunctional family that he will commit suicide on his 25th birthday. As the fateful day approaches, he stumbles upon love and a new sense of self. Fearing family humiliation if he backs out of this pledge, he prepares for his last birthday and the feigned,
Feigned.
feigned support of his family. The film, An Uzi at the Alamo.
Okay, so if I get I pulled this from IMDb, so if I get anything wrong, feel free to correct me.
Yeah, yeah.
Released on
Oh,
August 4th, 2005, directed by Chris Sparling and Raymond
Lepre.
Lepre,
Lepre.
okay. It's the second Chris Sparling film. Atticus Institute was 824, last episode even. So it's also written by Chris Sparling, starring Chris Sparling as Alec Thames, Terry Lynn Harris as Teresa, Heath Santazo as Russell, and Kevin Santazo as Nicholas.
Yes. And my buddy, again, you like to leave out Joe Guarneri. You left him out on the Atticus Institute and Chris's best friend. So Joe plays a cop. I forget
He's gonna
his
come after me.
I forget it. I forget his character name by now. Um anyway, so okay, Newsy at the Alamo. I guess I first saw a rough cut without any sound. And of course I showed my family. And I'm preaching. Remember, there's no sound effects. There's no, and then they're like, "Why isn't that dog barking?" What? And they're like, "Okay." I'm
Oh,
like, "You
uh-huh.
can't show a rough cut to people." Even though with the Star City Murders, I tried not to, but I had to. But it's just people are just so used to everything being complete,
Yep.
so it's tough. Okay, so Chris Sparling, as you know, we talked about last week, writer director in Hollywood. He was in acting school with my cousin Kevin and his buddy Joe in Rhode Island. And so they moved out here. I was already out here 4 months, and they moved out here. We all moved in together, all four of us trying to be actors and living that life. Some great stories for the book. Anyway, so Chris, he just didn't want to do the struggling actor thing. So he went back to school, went to Rhode Island, went back to school, got his degree, and then put money together. I think he shot this on about 30,000 back then. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, it was, but so he wrote the script, we shot it in Rhode Island. So me, Terry, Joe, trying to think. Oh, Kevin was still, and also the actress, I think Angeline or whatever, who plays the lead actress in this film. She used to work at a bar we used to go at, so we knew her. So we helped her get the. Okay, I think Kevin probably helped her get the role.
Angeline
Um,
Holmes.
yes, Angeline Holmes. My cousin dated her, and then actually when they broke up, I think that's when right before my cousin moved back. He moved back to Rhode Island. I was always mad at that. I didn't want
Uh-huh.
my cousin to leave. Kevin
Hmm.
was he's like my brother, my best friend. Like,
Yeah, I knew you guys are close. So,
we're very close. And when I don't see him for a few years, but when I see him, we pick up where we left off. Like
hmm.
we have so much history, so much love for each other. He's the best. And me, Joe, Kevin, and Chris. Like when I was in Rhode Island last summer, we went out for drinks, and it was so nice to because I hadn't seen
Yeah.
Joe in a while. But these are my boys. These are the ones on the text chain, no holes barred, the funniest text chain you would ever. Anyway, because my cousin Kevin was a good actor, and he was in Groundlings. And I'm not going to tell the
Oh,
story because it's personal,
it's his
but
story, right?
because of
Yeah.
politics, he
Ah.
didn't make it to the company, which was BS. Because I saw that live show, and he
Hmm.
was the best. I think he was if not the best, the second best. My memory is fit, but like Leonard Nimoy's son happened to get, that's Hollywood. And it was because we
Uh-huh.
were really, me and Kev and Chris and Joe, we were really in it together. One of us succeeds, we'll all succeed, that
Yep.
whole thing. And especially Kevin being my cousin, so I
Of
was always
course.
rooting for him. And but he's got a beautiful family. Bristol, I would love to retire in Bristol and live near him and hang out with. I mean, I could hang out. I mean, we were roommates for so many years, and
Yeah.
then when we moved out of our foursome place, I moved into a one bedroom. He with his other girlfriend was living below me. He got me the apartment, so I saw him all the time. So anyway, I miss
Hmm.
you, Kev. Kev's some good times. We went through a lot of shit together. Let's put it that way.
You're gonna have to
So
send Kevin the link to this after so he can listen or watch
yeah, he might.
watch me
I
hear
think he
all
might
these nice
listen.
words.
He might listen. Well, like Kevin's a plus dude, and I'm actually going to be going to Rhode Island for the 4th of July. We're crashing at his pad, so I'm excited to
Oh,
spend some
nice.
time with him. But it's a really quick trip though. But anyway,
Huh.
so yeah, Chris wrote the part for me. I play his older brother. Um, I'm a I play Russell Thames, and I'm his older brother, but I married a Japanese woman, and Elaine Yo, who plays my wife in this. This was her first ever role. She's been on Chuck, Californication. She's been in a lot of stuff. And
Oh,
Jessica
nice.
Gardner as well, who I beat up in the dojo scene. She's a
Yes.
reoccurring on NCIS. She's Me and
I thought
her.
she looked vaguely familiar, so
She's done very well. I ran into her at a Costco like 2 or 3 years ago. It was so random, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Because we're friends on Facebook. And when she
uh-huh.
first moved out here, we went to the academy and saw Chicago, and John C. Riley was there. It was a big. We had a good time.
Oh,
She's a cool
yeah,
girl.
cool. Yep.
Um, but so like there's some people in this film who've actually done some good things,
Uh-huh.
just people out of Rhode Island who are guess I mean, that's two
Yeah.
actresses that come to California and out of the thousands and thousands have
It
done
looks
very
like
well.
Elaine has done a lot of writing too. She's
She's
44
a big
episodes of
writer
Dynasty, I
now.
see. Yeah.
What's that?
44 episodes of the new Dynasty.
Oh,
So,
oh, I
and
didn't
got and
realize.
10 episodes on Gossip Girl as well.
Oh
So,
shoot. Okay, because when I saw Chris last time Chris was here, we went out to lunch. He said he was meeting Elaine, and she said she was a writer, and I didn't look her up. So yeah, she's doing well, writing well. Nice,
that's
Elaine. Who's
according
the
to
Alamo
IMDb.
alum?
So, yeah, that's
No,
pretty
she is.
cool.
Now that makes sense because I wasn't sure if she was just working on a script and wanted to talk to Chris about it. I didn't realize she had made her way. Good for her. I love that. I love seeing, especially people I know who are super cool. Like
Hmm.
the whole cast of this. My boy Steve Brito, who's also in this, freaking head. So I got to get to it. Remind me of the say Christopher Walken, and I'll tell the story. Um, so Chris is like, yeah, we're getting a movie together. So we all flew in. My parents at the time were living in Seekonk, Mass, but not too far from where we're shooting in Providence. So I had my parents were out of town for some reason. I might have saw him at the end of the trip, I think. But we had the table read at my parents' house. So I had like 30 people in
Uh-huh.
my parents' house. I felt like a college kid again,
I
like
know. That
having,
sounds like a college kid at home
and
home for the weekend.
I'm pretty sure they knew
Yeah,
I had people over. I don't
they
remember.
they always know. I did that same thing. Came when I was home from college. They knew every time when they were gone and I had a
Yeah.
party. It doesn't or people over.
Yeah. I mean, I was in my late 20s or mid 20s when doing this. So
Hmm.
anyway, so I play Russell Thames and I'm into karate and kung fu or whatever, and I torment Alec. It's the big thing. I know the movie's not streaming. You used to be able to get it through the Netflix discs back in
Oh,
the
yep,
day. I
yep.
do have, of course, I had a bunch of copies of the movie, and because that's how I got one of my first agents through this movie, or a new agent because I already had it. Anyway, it was one of my agents.
Hmm.
Um, and it was fun. It was, low budget and stuff, but really had a great time. I remember because we shot it September of '03, and then it didn't come out to '05, I think.
Yep.
Because me and my cousin, we're all hanging out and we're in between takes, wherever we're watching Cowboys play the Falcons, Brett's Falcons, Bill Parcells' first game as coach. That's how long ago we shot this
Oh
movie.
man.
Yeah, so I was 28. And but it's funny because Steve Brito, awesome guy. He plays one of the husbands of, and I just I just started to I just was doing a Christopher Walken accent like the whole shoot, like off camera, and I'd be like, yeah, I would like Steve Brito, is that crew parking? Can't find the set. And it was just like but like to get into character, I always have to say Steve Brito, like it's that, I was actually when I shot the dojo scene, I was super sick. I ended up getting really sick, but we had to shoot it. I mean, I had a bloody
Uh-huh.
nose in between takes. I was,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
it was a rough one. But it was so much fun to make because this was, I guess, my second movie I'd ever done, maybe third, but probably my second, but my first like bigger part in a film, or a TV. I had a lot of lines, big supporting role, and you can see the clips on YouTube.
Hmm.
If you search like the typewriter, the punch, because I had it on my page, so
Yep.
that's where you can at least see some clips of me in action. Uh,
They're good
but
clip. I was so is it supposed to be a comedy? Is your character supposed to be comedic, right? Or not really?
like, uh, what do they call
Good.
it when you're supposed to be comedic and funny, but you don't know you are?
Gotcha. Okay, that's
Like,
kind of what because I was
yeah,
laughing at you. I wasn't laughing. It was
I based my character on John Kreese, from Karate Kid. Is that how Kreese? Kreese?
yeah,
I
I
got
think that's how you
confused because
pronounce
of
it.
the,
Yeah.
like, I was like, I'm doing Cobra Kai style. That's what I'm doing.
That's
That's what I'm doing.
because I was
Uh,
chuckling quite a bit when I was watching the clips in a good way, I thought.
well,
So,
there's one where I buy my mom panties and a bra for her birthday, and I'm like,
yeah.
what do you mean? Everyone needs underwear,
You
like,
bought
and
me
it's
underwear when I was like,
well,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like, again, this is one of the first, actually, probably the first script Chris wrote and made into a movie, and it worked out because talk about the evolution of things. This movie didn't hit, of course. Um, and one of the things Chris said, I wish I would have got one name to market this film, to put in this film. That's, was learning. But he
Hmm.
got a really good manager out of the movie. That manager is the one who, and I believe I'm correct on this, that manager led to him writing scripts, saying to the manager, and him writing Buried, and that manager saying,
Oh,
you got to be in LA in 3 days. We
yeah.
have a huge meeting. And that launched his career. So
Next thing you know, he's talking to Ryan Reynolds. Yeah.
yeah, by doing this film, slaving over it, um, it led to his career going like
Hmm.
boom. And he did, Chris came on after this. Oh no, he didn't talk about Uzi. It was after Buried. He came on the Jay and Jack, Autism Speaks.
Oh,
But
yeah, that's right.
so Chris had a premiere in Cranston, Rhode Island. It's like 500, 700 people showed up. Vinny Pazienza, the boxer. I don't know if you ever heard
Uh-huh.
of Vinny.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was there. It was crazy, but we related. So when I was doing the Star City Murders, I set up the first screening where cast and crew and people who donated friends could
Hmm.
come. And I literally, there's so many technical things that going out that they need to put a digital movie in the theater
Yeah.
that at the last minute, I didn't know I had the final cut I didn't know I had one of the cuts ready to do this until Friday evening, and we were showing it the next night, Saturday. So it was the most stressful 2 weeks of my life ever. So the reason why I bring it up now is because Chris had the same. His editor was like in Maine, so he's in Rhode Island, and he had to drive up to get the DVD copy to show at this theater. And Chris has 700 people coming, and
Uh-huh.
he didn't know until. So when I told him the story, he goes, "Dude, did I ever tell you the story about Uzi?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, Chris, yeah, it was the most stressful I've ever been in my entire life. Like, I literally was dry heaving for two
That's
days.
I remember you
Like,
texting us a lot during that time frame, and you definitely were not in a good place. You were excited, but you were definitely stressed.
so at the premiere of Uzi, you know how we read things or we have role models or we see things and we're like, I want to do that or I want to. So at the Batman Forever premiere. I think it was Jim Carrey's getting interviewed, and Chris O'Donnell comes behind him and gives him a big bear hug on the red carpet, and they have a
Hmm.
nice. Chris and my cousin are getting interviewed, and they tell me to come over. So as I'm walking over, I give him a bear hug. Like it
Uh-huh.
was my first premiere. And I
Yeah.
remember that moment. I said, when I'm doing a film, my first, damn it, I'm gonna do that. Well, it wasn't my first film. I probably gave a lot of people I'm calling Bobcat uh, bear hugs, but for different reasons. But I did that to my cousin, and they did a nice. I have somewhere. I still have the paper article of me and Kevin and Chris.
Oh,
I'll be
nice. That's
nice.
cool.
I'll take a picture of it and put it up on the
Yeah.
DVR Facebook group. Um, but they did a nice piece on the movie, the local paper or whatever. And so I did the bear hug with my cousin. And I wish I would have been able to make more movies with my cousin, but
Hmm.
we will always have this. He plays a Russian. So one of the famous lines that we still say, me and my sister say, he goes, there's one time he goes, motocross? He just says motocross because I think one of the characters, oh, Terry, who plays the mother, likes to do motocross. And so in this movie, while Alec, we should probably talk about somewhat of the movie. So Alec is basically saying, I'm going to kill myself to get attention. And because he wants to follow through on it, not let his family down. So the whole family throughout the film is like, oh, your day's almost coming. It's kind of like tongue in cheek
Oh, okay.
that
I
he's
didn't
going to kill
realize
himself.
it was for attention and all that. That makes a little more okay.
Yeah, well, I think there might have been deeper things too, but
Yeah.
he had a romance going on. And of course, there's a nice gag early enough where, why is it echoey on the phone and she's in the bathroom, on the toilet? Um, there's yeah, there's a funny scene with a mailman. But it's a little racy. So there's this dog called Blackie. Okay. And the mother's always yelling, get out of my yard, Blackie. And then, of course, we get a mailman coming. He's black. And then she's yelling at the, get out of my, and he goes, son of a bitch. And it's really funny. But yeah, I don't know. It would go over too these days.
Yeah,
But
well,
like with the way it's done, it is funny. I mean, we're making fun of everyone. They're making fun of everyone in this film.
uh-huh.
But it was just like it was a real mailman. So Chris had him like come in this mailman suit for one day to shoot, and he was great. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's just. But um, we actually there was one section we reshot a year later. It was Chris. He's on a golf course talking to his best friend. God, what is Joe's character?
Derek?
Derek Montecalvo. Yes. Um, he was a cop, but we reshot because there's this one segment where he's on the phone with Derek talking about life and stuff. One, he's trying to hang himself. He's like looking in the mirror, seeing how it looks.
Uh-huh.
There's
God,
one where
of
he's shadow
course.
boxing instead, but then we shot it out here. Chris put on a winter cap because his hair was different, and it was basically hitting golf balls. And so they
Hmm.
filmed the scene there. And so I helped him out that day, and we shot that scene. Uh, but one time, Raouf, the DP, I made him laugh so much that when he saw me at the premiere, he just shook his head and started smiling because one time there was one take while we're doing the dojo scene, I was so out of it. So it's a close up on me. Instead of saying my line, I go, I'm sick of this fucking Chris Sparling movie. Like I just wanted, I
Uh-huh.
had to let something out. It was fun. But there's a couple of times Jessica actually hits me because I'm in the dojo showing her a move, and the famous line I
Hmm.
have is called that's made it to the trail was the enemy never sleeps. I mean, it's because she's, I'm on the
Yes.
phone and that scene I run and
That's
I
in the clip,
tackle her.
yeah.
Yeah, it's in the
Yep.
clip. But Jessica hit me a couple times. I think that's why I got my bloody nose. I'm realizing she was so apologetic. I'm like, it's cool. I hope it works. The actual punch. Um, God, there's so much more to talk about, but I think that there's a really cool Happy Days joke to Potsy, because Alec Thames' sister is an agent, and she's trying to get, I think, Potsy Weber a car commercial or something. It's pretty funny. Anyway, um, so yeah, so Uzi at the Alamo, film very dear to me. It was fun to be in it with friends of mine met some great new people, and it was great to start and see my friend Chris really come in as a
Yeah,
director.
I'm sure doing it with your friends has a whole different level of meaning that you can't even describe, I'm sure. I mean, you've tried to,
No,
but you can't really. That's something you just can't. Anytime you do something with, especially longtime friends, that's yeah,
yeah,
realizing their dreams. Yeah,
and my blood, Kevin. It was just
yeah.
like it was, it was a lot of fun to do, and yeah, once in a while I'll throw it on just for the memories, and see skinny Heath, uh, in in shape Heath. I was in shape once. So yeah, 812 and Uzi at the Alamo.
Breaking news: we have a comment in the chat,
Oh, okay.
and it's
Do-do-do-do.
it's it's directed right at you. It says,
Oh.
"Hi, Heath. This is Lachlan."
What up, Lachlan? Go Dolphins! Do I sound like you're dead?
I,
Anyway,
I
Lachlan. Love Lachlan.
yes, Lachlan is great.
Uh, what a good kid.
So, yeah, well, a great kid, great kid. I'm
Well,
sure he's
great
gonna love.
kid.
I'm sure he's gonna love us talking about this next movie coming up. Every kid's gonna love this one.
Yeah, you're probably right. All right, coming in at 811. What did we go from? Uzi at the Alamo to a biopic depicting the early years of legendary director and aviator Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes's career from the late 20s to the mid 1940s. The film, which I saw in the movie theater with Joe Guarnieri, the aviator, the
Hmm.
aviator. Me and Joe, Uzi at the Alamo, we saw this together in the theater. I don't know if no, Chris wouldn't have been out in LA. I saw a lot of movies with Kevin and Chris. So I think The Conjuring was the last one I think I saw with Chris. Actually, while we were shooting this movie, we went to the theater. We went out for drinks and we went to the theater with my cousins. It was pretty cool. It was like my cousin Sandy and Stacy. I think my sister was there. Anyway, Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire. We saw it at the
Oh,
Seekonk Cinema, which will be coming
yeah,
later on the film list. I'm a
yeah.
big Spider-Man 2 fan.
That's a good one.
Um, so The Aviator, take it
Aviator.
away.
All right. So the Aviator, limited release on December 17th, 2004. Wide release on Christmas Day, 2004. Made 102 million on a $110 million budget. It opened at number 4 at the box office. It couldn't dethrone Meet the Fockers, which is
Uh,
directed by Martin Scorsese. It's his third film to make the film list.
I think
Irishman
it's
at
his
one.
third film. I'm like, is this Martin
Yeah.
Scorsese Jr.?
Yeah. The Irishman was at 1,000, and Gangs of New York was in Portland, we talked about at number 913.
Don't remember talking about it, but I'm sure we
Yes,
think
yes, we
it's
did.
on tape.
I think Axel even came in to talk, a little cameo, I think,
He
on that.
might
But
have. Yeah,
I
he might
vaguely
have.
remember that. Like I told you earlier, I need to re-listen to that. Written by John Logan, who also has written Gladiator, Skyfall, and The Last Samurai. Stars Leonardo DiCaprio as Howard Hughes. This is his second of 6 so far collaborations with Martin Scorsese, and he's got like a whole ton of more in development, like 4 or 5 more in
Wow.
development. So, um, Kate Blanchett as Katharine Hepburn, Kate Beckinsale as Ava Gardner, John C. Reilly as Noah Dietrich, Alec Baldwin as Juan Tripp, Alan Alda as Senator Ralph Owen Brewster. Alda got his only Oscar nomination ever for this film. Ian Holm as Professor Fitz, Danny Houston as Jack Fry, Gwen Stefani as Jean Harlow,
Don't
Jude.
speak. I can know what you say. Sorry.
I don't think she sang this one in this movie,
So
but
please stop explaining.
um, Jude Law as Errol Flynn, Adam Scott as Johnny Meyer.
Didn't remember that.
I didn't either till I had it on the other night, and I'm like, holy shit, that's Adam Scott. Brent Spiner as Robert Gross, and
Data.
Willem Dafoe, second Willem
William
Dafoe
Dafoe is
appearance.
in everything.
Yes, as Roland Sweet.
Out of the 1,000 movies we're going to be talking about, Willem Dafoe is in 903 of them.
He's way up there. He's been in a lot of them, and will
He's
continue to be in a lot.
he
He's
might have outlasted Kevin Bacon in the Sixth Degree. Willem Dafoe might give Kevin
he's
Bacon a run for his money.
he's very, very
And Sam
prolific.
Jackson's got to be high. I'm wondering because I remember the Six Degrees of Kevin Bacon, that whole
Yeah,
game, which was awesome. I'm wondering if
Sam really has to be up there real
anyone's
high. Well,
outtaken over
the,
outtaken.
the thing with Willem
Or
Dafoe
like
too is
Liam Neeson.
he's in so many ensembles like this and
Yeah,
Saturday Night that he was both lots of huge ensembles actually this week in
God, he's
this
been
one.
in
But
so many. He's been in a Spider-Man. He's been in Born on the Fourth of July, Mississippi
yeah,
Burning. I mean,
it's
but then he's like you said, he shows up. He was also in Boondock Saints, right? Yeah,
oh yes, he was. Yep.
yeah.
And
So
Platoon. I mean, yeah, tons
I
and
mean,
tons of.
talk about a career.
Hmm.
Holy crap,
Yeah,
Willem
it's
Dafoe.
just
God bless him,
insane.
man.
You
So
know, oh, I was gonna say I also saw this in the theater. I actually was one of my roommates at the time had I think this was the second Scorsese film I had seen in a theater, and he was not a Scorsese guy at all. He's like, I don't know. I'm like, come to see it on the big screen
this is
because
a different.
Scorsese on the big screen is it's not the same
It's
watching it
no,
on a small screen.
no.
And he went in with like arms folded, like I am not. Why am I even doing this? And he walks out and he's like, "Holy shit! I know what you mean. Just seeing this in a big screen, it's this movie." And I hadn't watched it since then. I watched, like I said, I found it on. I think it's on Prime right now. So I thought, you know what? I haven't watched this in 20 years. I'm gonna throw it on a little bit and just kind of remind. I forgot how. I mean, I shouldn't have because it's Scorsese, but this is just a super high quality movie. I mean.
This movie, if we were doing the best movies of all time, would
Hmm.
be way up the list for me. Definitely
Hmm.
top 500. We would see. As far as favorites, I haven't rewatched it in a long time. Uh, but I love this film. This is a great. I mean, I'm a big Scorsese fan, of course. Leo, the crew. Thought Kate Blanchett because didn't she win the Oscar? So
Yep.
let's hit the awards.
Yeah,
Go with the awards.
this one had 11 nominations, and with 5 wins. Blanchett won for Best Supporting Actress. Also won for cinematography, editing, art direction. I mean, the costumes in this and the art direction and the sets in this are just amazing.
Yeah.
It lost Best Picture to Million Dollar Baby, and Martin Scorsese lost to Clint Eastwood for that same thing. It's the actually the fifth time that he had been nominated. He actually has 10 nominations as of this recording, but he hadn't still hadn't won at this point. So DiCaprio's first Best Actor nomination was for this film. He lost to Jamie Foxx. He also had a supporting actor nod earlier for Gilbert Grape. See, like I said earlier, Alden Alda's first and only nomination for Best Supporting. It also had screenplay and sound mixing. But yeah,
Mhm.
everything about this, like when I remember watching it, or I remember it just being an awesome movie from when I saw it and didn't remember much else about it. And when I was watching it this time, it's one of those movies that's, I like said, if I was making a best movies, it would be up higher. Isn't one of my
Yeah.
favorites? No. I mean the
So we're
film
on the same page. Yeah.
yeah, the production is amazing. Like I saw something they spent like $2 million just on costumes for this thing. I mean, it looks like the time frame they made, like the period. I mean, it's a period piece for sure. The
Yeah.
filmmaking is just incredible all along. The problem that it has, I think, is that it is a standard biopic. I mean, it's basically the greatest hits of Howard Hughes from 1920 to 1940. And it's 10 minutes on this, 10 minutes on that, 10 minutes on this. It's not I think biopics usually work better when it's kind of a slice of life thing instead of like the greatest hits, if that makes sense,
Mm.
where it's just like a very brief period. I at least I prefer them that way. So I think that's the one ding on it is, and it's also very long and quite not that I don't mind slow and slow pace, but it's a very long and slower paced. It's not like watching Goodfellas or The Departed or
No,
something
no,
where it's
no.
just
It
bang, bang,
definitely.
bang. It's very deliberate, but there's amazing sequences in this thing.
Yeah.
The
I mean, I didn't know anything about Howard Hughes, and to be honest, I was like, wait, that's the guy who did the '80s films? John Hughes. No,
this guy
it's
made
not Heath.
Breakfast Club. Holy
This got
shit!
me like I got confused. But then I saw the trick, when I heard Stacey was making a movie about Howard Hughes, I'm like, wow, that's gonna be interesting. Yeah, no, Heath, it wasn't John Hughes. Kate Blanchett, this is really when I was like, who is this? I mean, she was awesome
Yep.
as freaking what's her face? Catherine
Yeah,
Hepburn.
Catherine Hepburn. Yeah.
And then of course, two, I'm like, man, I didn't know Audrey Hepburn was that, again, I was probably doing some drugs around this time and was confused. No, but talk about a great cast. It just Scorsese delivers in a non-mobster film as he
Yeah.
can.
Well, and there's some of it, like what I knew of Howard Hughes, I only knew from an episode of The Simpsons back in the 90s where Monty Burns is playing Howard Hughes, but it's when Howard Hughes has gone full crazy and he's living in a hotel room with the long fingernail. And I was like, okay, Howard Hughes is the guy that went crazy. I had no idea he was a filmmaker. I mean, I'm sure that's part of what drew Scorsese to this. Like the opening half an hour of this film is him making Hell's Angels and trying to figure out how to film plane dogfighting. That whole scene, I'm like, holy shit, this
I
is
bought the
actually
after I watched this
super
film,
awesome.
I bought the DVD of that
Yeah,
movie
it's
because I had to see it because when they go behind the scenes with it and how much
hmm
money it's, but it was like, and then I mean the stuff in the hotel because like Hughes, I think he at the hotel, I don't know if I can't remember if they say it in the movie or not, but he basically rented out 2 floors
yep.
and
And multiple hotels. He's did this in because
he
we
did it
actually talked
multiple
about this a
hotels.
little bit on the Duster Pod because he actually was
That's what
mentioned
I
in
got it
Duster
from. I
this
thought
last week. Yeah.
I know I heard it somewhere.
Yeah.
That's what it
So
was. It was
this is
funny.
the
I'm
second
telling you.
podcast in 2 days I have talked about Howard Hughes, which
That's right. Oh yeah,
yeah,
because then you say we may be talking about it.
yes.
That's right. I
So
got that from you, Ando. So
yeah, so
go.
yeah, he's done that in multiple like they kind of hint at some of that stuff and they show him doing some of that in this, but they don't show the full on when he goes into
Yeah.
full conspiracy mode and all this stuff. So it's they but this is more about the like I said the filmmaking and then him going into aeronautics and figuring out airplanes and stuff like that. But I mean, Leo is so damn everybody in this is so good. I
Oh,
forgot how
it's a
good the cast
clinic.
was. Yeah,
It's a
it's
clinic. That is a
and
clinic.
the one of the things I realized too on this, originally this was supposed to be Michael Mann, and he gave
Interesting.
this to Scorsese because he had just made Insider and Ali, and he was like, I don't want to do another biopic. So he decided
Oh,
he'd rather would go do Collateral, which is another amazing movie.
oh, thank you, Michael Mann.
Yes, and he basically offered it to Scorsese, so Scorsese did this like as a director for hire thing, which is kind of unusual for Scorsese. He doesn't do that
Wow.
very often.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, Kate Blanchett was the first actor to win an Oscar for playing another Oscar winner.
Oh, nice,
Thought that was kind of a
nice.
fun little costume
Yeah.
or a fun little deal too. So yeah, it's I think it's a say it's definitely not something I would want to watch over and over again,
You're
but
not gonna watch it every 4th of July.
no,
Okay.
no, not even a little bit. So and the one other note I had is there is some spots in this where the CGI is showing it seems a little bit. It's not
Hmm.
look some of the special effects don't age quite as well as they were when I first saw them, but it's worth watching for the acting and the filmmaking. I mean, it's Scorsese. You're not gonna. It's not bad.
Yeah,
It's
no,
good.
I came, I mean, I sat in the theater, watched this, hung on everything. And when I came out walking out, just like,
Yeah.
wow, I was blown away.
hmm
Um, Again, I've only seen it maybe twice, so it's hard to put it up in the top five, you
Well,
know,
and
and it wouldn't
it
be. There's so many
was
other films I like more, but I like the spot for it here.
yeah, and like I said, it kind of holds up exactly what my memory was. Like some of these
Yeah.
movies I've rewatched that I haven't seen for 20 years. I'm like, oh, that's way better or way worse or whatever that I remember. And this one, I remember it being a high quality movie, which it is, but it's not something I'm gonna go back and watch. It is fun to see all these people, different people show up, like for just
Yeah.
short, like and see Adam
Like Jude
Scott come and
Law's, yeah,
yeah,
Jude Law's Errol Flynn. You're like,
and
ah,
and Jude Law's barely. I mean, he's hardly in it. He was a star at this time, but he's barely. People just
yeah.
coming in to do the Kate Beckinsale for just a couple scenes, and these people that have become famous or were at the time, and just come in for just little bit
Yeah,
parts.
hey,
It's
work to
very
work with Scorsese and
yeah,
in a Leo movie. I mean,
hmm
look at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. How many
yeah,
people, Luke Perry, Timothy Oliphant, just did small
yep, little
her
bit
parts. Just, I mean, being a Tarantino movie, man.
yeah.
That's where it's
That
at.
one other little tidbit like this was in development for a very long time. Lots of different people were attached over the years. The one that's the most interesting is at the same time, it was basically a race to get into production. Chris Nolan was also developing a Hughes biopic at the same time,
Really?
starring Jim Carrey, and it was all set to go, but Scorsese got ahead of them and said they decided they'd cancel it because they didn't want to do
Wow.
two Howard Hughes movies at the same time. But I guess that got really close to being in production,
Well,
which
that's
would have
like, do
been.
you remember? I think it was when they did the two Hitchcock movies
hmm
at once. One was
Yeah.
more on making the birds and Tippy
Yeah.
Tuesday. What's her name?
Tippy
Tippy
Hedren,
Redmond?
yeah.
Hedren, not
Yes.
Redmond.
What
Um,
and those, I mean, I can see doing two volcano movies at the same time or two asteroid crashing
a
movies at the same
lot of
because
Vietnam movies, and they,
people are gonna, but two about the same a
yeah,
guy
I
that most
know,
people don't know about. It's like I can see why they wouldn't have wanted to do it. So,
makes
and
sense.
it's Nolan. I mean, he
Well,
does whatever he wants. So,
same thing happened. I actually called the production company because I was trying to get myself a role on the film, but Richard Linklater was going to do Friday Night Lights, and then
mm-hmm.
Varsity Blues came out, and he decided not to. And then, of course, years later, Friday Night
Yeah.
Lights was done, and then the series. But it's
Wow.
funny how they decide not
Yeah.
to do. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Just
I guess because I mean, Friday Night Lights is a little different. But no, I mean, it's more of a comedy, but it's high school football in Texas, under the lights, blah blah
yeah.
blah.
It's similar, but like yeah, Friday Night Lights is more of a serious drama where
Yeah,
Varsity Blues is more of a
I guess it's
teen
like
high
30
school movie.
Rock and Studio on the Sunset Strip, Studio 60
Yeah.
on the Sunset Strip.
Yeah. That
Anyway,
more like that.
so yeah, The Aviator, man. Saw
So
it at
yeah,
the
oh,
Arc
go ahead.
Light in Hollywood that I was talking about.
Oh,
Saw it
nice. That
there.
had to be an awesome experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't my
So
Famke Janssen experience, but it was still good.
can anything beat a Famke Janssen experience? Probably not really.
Oh, yeah. So I think it was in a Nicole Kidman movie. I want to say Birth or not Birth. It's something,
Oh, one of the weird
something.
ones.
One of the weird ones in the mid 2000s, and
Uh-huh.
Famke was sitting one seat from me. It was an empty seat, and then her, and I couldn't stop staring at the
I
legs.
was gonna say, did you even watch the movie? I don't think I
It
would
was
have.
tough. It was tough because she was like drop dead gorgeous. I mean, she was like I was intimidated, but she,
You,
Famke.
you didn't say, can you try that golden eye move out on me real quick? Or
No, I wasn't that brave. I was in my phase of I got to be cool.
and
I,
speaking of somebody in this one, didn't don't you have a story about Gwen Stefani too?
that's right. I do. Yeah, me and my cousin Kevin were in IKEA when we were buying stuff, and there was this girl ahead of me, and this just looked like a regular blonde, like nice girl, was paying for her stuff with American Express, and she's like, I don't know if it's gonna work. Give it a try. And I was like, none of my cards ever work. And she looked at me and kind of smiled. And whatever, that was brief. And it was the IKEA in Burbank. And then she left. And then my cousin's like, do you know who you were just talking to? I go, no. That's
No
Gwen
idea.
Stefani. I was like, no way. That was Gwen Stefani from No Doubt. I was like, really? So
Flirting with Hollywood movie stars and singers, and you don't even realize you're
well,
doing it.
yeah. Well, it wasn't
Oh,
much of a flirt or had a
yeah.
chance, but at least I
Still kind
shared the
of a
same
cool.
Brett
Yeah.
space. But it was my,
Yeah.
early Hollywood, early moving to
Yeah.
LA kind of thing. So I always forget about that. That's the first celebrity I was talking to that I didn't know who it was. Did the same thing with Jennifer Grey from Ferris Bueller, and I did not know it was her.
Wow.
It was after the
The-
nose job. We were at a party
oh, yeah.
at my friend's house, and I was talking to her, and I didn't know it was Jennifer Grey. I'm glad I did it
That's
because I probably would have maybe got a little too. There was a lot of drinks were flowing that night up in the Hollywood Hills, and oh, me and Kevin, oh, back in our day, man. Carl
that's a
Mazzucchelm's
di-
place.
that's a different podcast though.
That's a different pod.
You
When I
know,
retire
maybe
from
we should
acting, me and Kevin will jump on.
that'll be a book or a podcast series I definitely
Yeah,
want to
when I
want to
don't
read
care
or
what
listen.
people say about me, I'll do
Yeah,
that pod. I'll do
that
that
we can
pod.
do the tell all. Yeah.
I'll do the tell all. Yeah, that'll be fun. That's when I'll probably become famous from the tell all because you think I make some of this stuff up, and no, I
Oh,
just lived it.
I don't think
Not
you do.
you.
I
No, no, I'm
love, yeah.
saying like as a no,
Oh,
I don't.
yeah,
I
yeah,
have no
yeah.
reason to make stuff up because if I don't believe it's real, then I wouldn't. I would feel weird saying it. Like I can't be one of those where all of a sudden people become great athletes in high school as they get
Yeah.
older.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh,
So
so should we
eight
move on
ten.
to the next film? 810, yes.
All right.
Let's go back to a really dark place.
Oh yeah, yeah when we were in a hotel room, okay, but we really need to go really dark. Okay,
Yeah.
Billy Hayes. not Billy Mays.
Not Willie
Billy
Mays
Hayes,
Hayes.
not
Yeah.
Willie Mays. Hey, God. Billy Hayes, an American college student, is caught smuggling drugs out of Turkey and thrown into a prison. The film, coming in at 8:10, Midnight Express.
Premiered at the Cannes Film Festival May 18th, 1978. Released on October 27th, 1978. Made 35 mil on a $2.3 million budget. Directed by Alan Parker. It's his second film on the film list. Life of David Gale was at 964. This is the second screenplay ever written by Oliver Stone.
Oh,
It's based on the book by Billy Hayes and William Hoffer, starring Brad Davis as Billy Hayes, Irene Miracle as Susan, Bo Hopkins as Tex, Randy Quaid as Jimmy Booth, Paolo Bonicelli as Rifke, John Hurt as Max, and Paul L. Smith as Hamadou. This film is dark as hell. I hadn't seen this ever until recently, and wow, this is
it's dark.
not a fun watch,
Oh, it's a
as
great
Axel likes
watch.
to say.
No, yeah, not so early 2000s when I was going through my Steve McQueen kick and watching all his movies. I also was really heavy into 70s films. We talked about The Onion Field. I
Uh-huh.
was looking for movies like that I hadn't seen, like true crime-ish, but like all also real life, like kind of those gritty 70s films.
Hmm.
And so this was in the rotation, and I was watching it in my apartment by myself, and I was just got so into the film, like because the fear is, well, a year prior, my talent manager, one of his clients that I met a couple times, but I'm not going to mention his name, uh, but was stuck in one of these countries,
Oh,
was bringing leathers, but I guess there was some drugs or something, and there was an ongoing thing where he was stuck over there
oh,
for a year, maybe. I don't know. So like when I watched this, it hit it home a little bit because I'm like,
oh, yeah.
I didn't know him, but I knew of him.
Hmm.
And I'm like, he's stuck over there. So when I saw this, it just started thinking, what if I were to get thrown in a prison overseas, and especially during this time where, you basically had no rights.
Yeah.
It kind of
Yeah.
reminded me a little bit
There's
of
no
the,
social media to get your message out or
yeah.
anything. Yeah.
It is dark and you're just like, are they going to be able to break out or not? Or
Hmm.
how are they going to do it? And it is dark. Bo Hopkins, me and my Kevin, my cousin Kevin worked on a film called Shade, and Bo Hopkins was one of the producers and actors in it. And we ran into Bo after like a year after the movie or 6 months. We ran into him at the movies in Burbank, and it was like, Bo Hopkins. Uh, he has since passed, but one a great guy. Loved hanging out with him. Uh, and he was a good. So like I forgot he was in that. I'm like, oh yeah, this is early Bo Hopkins. And speaking of Steve McQueen, Bo Hopkins is in The Getaway. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, he had a fun scene with shooting at the Hotel Roosevelt. And anyway, um, just all of a sudden, like you start thinking, then you start
Yeah,
little
I can tell
things.
your wheels are spinning
Yeah,
full
my
speed
wheels
right
are.
now.
This section is really relating to my time in Hollywood. Uh, but my old friend who passed from cancer, Ron Keckler, he was the one who got me into Steve McQueen, and he
Yep.
recommended this to me. So during that time before he passed, like I probably told this before, but every Sunday night he'd come over and we'd watch movies, and this was one of them. So yeah, you know what? I thought I watched it alone. No, I watched this with Ron. We watched one of our Sunday night because we had gone through two Steve McQueen movies in a row that were so bad we were laughing that we had to switch it up. Um,
Throw something at yeah. This is another one of the Academy Award Best Picture nominees. I mean, this one 6 nominations. It's a big, and I don't ever really see this. I didn't realize this was as acclaimed as it was. You don't really see this pop up on lists of greatest movies of all time or anything like that. But
yeah, you
I'm kind of
don't.
surprised.
Yeah. I was looking at one last night. It was like the top 500. I think it was one of the many on IMDb. And I'm just
Hmm.
scrolling through and actually jotting down some movies that I know I've always wanted to see. Like I've never
Yep.
seen Bridge over the River Kwai. I think I have,
Oh,
but I don't think I've ever seen the full, and like
it's
movies like that, I'm like,
fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah.
So those I like with doing this film list, I feel okay. Like if I watch Bridge on the River Kwai now for the first time, and all of a sudden it becomes my 672nd favorite film.
Yeah.
It is a little retrofitting, but
Uh-huh.
I'm like, if I like an older movie that much now, I would have definitely liked it while I was in film
Yeah.
school. So
Hmm.
I kind of like that's how I gauge
Yep.
putting films that I maybe just start to watch higher than ones I've already lit because again, um, so but this one, man, I mean, I haven't seen it in a while. I don't even know, is this one like the Onion Field where it's hard to get the Blu-ray or DVD
Well,
or
I thought it was, and it was like you can rent it on video on demand or on
right.
Prime or anything. And I was like, well, I didn't have, so I actually stumbled across it, and I was going to just watch some clips. And the full one is available for free on YouTube right now. The full, and it's a
Oh,
high
really?
def transfer, and it looked amazing. So I watched it
Oh,
on YouTube for
oh,
nothing.
nice.
So who knows
Good
if
job, Ando.
it'll still be on
Yeah,
there tomorrow, but
it may not.
so yeah,
Um,
it was, and I think maybe it is because it's one of those ones that even though it was acclaimed, it is kind of, I don't want to say falling through the cracks because any critic has of course has seen it, but I've never heard of any, but like most 70s movies that had any kind of acclaim, you at least hear somebody talk, like a regular person, as I like to
well,
say,
think about The Onion
talk about it.
Field is in
Yeah,
that category too. It's
you're
one of
right.
those gritty films that no one ever talks about.
Yep.
I mean, the performances, um, yeah, because during this around this time, then I started really going into the De Niro 70s films and
Yeah. Well,
60s.
I mean, this fits right. I could have seen De Niro being in this film. I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
he probably could have been offered it.
yeah, you're right. He probably was at this point, 1970, yeah, 78 when it came out. For sure, he could have been. So,
Yeah,
and
this
man,
is
there's,
around Deer Hunter time,
mhm.
so yeah.
Yeah, it actually, speaking of Deer Hunter, Stone actually approached Michael Cimino to direct this, and he turned it down for the Deer Hunter, and the Deer Hunter beat this at the Oscars for Best Picture.
Wow, that's crazy.
So, yes.
Jesus.
Yeah,
But then
and
he did Heaven's Gate, so it came
John
back.
Hurt, yeah, John Hurt also lost to Chris Walken from The Deer Hunter for Best Supporting Actor in this as well, and Alan Parker lost to Cimino for Best Director for this. I mean, so Deer Hunter basically walked. He obviously made the right choice to go to Deer Hunter because it's been so successful for
Yeah.
him. But this is still it's a damn good. I can pretty much guarantee I will never watch this again. But I'm glad that I did. But
Oh,
it's,
good,
yeah.
good. Ah, all right. Yeah.
So
Midnight
yeah.
Express.
Well, you know what? We can go. The next one is a third in a row of Best Picture nominees. So
My taste is getting better and better, or more
it's
like the Academy, the old white people. No. All right. Let's get this film rolling. I got some funny things to say about it. Well, here you go. Benjamin Button, born in 1918, with the physical state of an elderly man, ages in reverse. The film, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
released on Christmas Day 2008, made 127 million on a $150 million budget. It opened at number three, behind Adam Sandler's Bedtime Stories and Marley and Me. It's the second David Fincher film to make the film list. Mank was at 865. Written by Eric Roth, who was also the screenwriter of a film called Forrest Gump, which shares a lot of similarities to this film.
I was about to say it's
Based
a dark Forrest Gump.
Yes. Based on the short story by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Another Kate Blanchett, starring as Daisy, Brad Pitt as Benjamin Button. This was his third film with Fincher. Seven and Fight Club, obviously, before this. And there might be a fourth one coming soon that's supposed to shoot this summer. So I'm guessing there's a spot reserved for that film when we get there. But also starring
Yes.
Julia Ormond as Caroline, Taraji P. Henson as I did not write her name. I think it's Queenie. I think it's her name. I didn't write the character name, but I think it's Queenie. Elias Koteas as Monsignor Gateau, Mahershala Ali as Tizzy, Tilda Swinton as Elizabeth Abbott, Elle Fanning, with Dakota's sister, as Daisy, age 7, Jared Harris as Captain Mike, and there's tons of other people in this one too that are
Yeah.
great actors that I did not list. So Benjamin Button solo.
I've got a little Fanning twin
Yeah.
siblings. This list is by accident.
Fanning, Kate
Great.
Blanchett, Oscar nominees. Yeah, this is, and
All right.
Southland Tales. It's perfect.
So I was in Pennsylvania for Christmas, and me and my family, my sister, we went. We saw this on Christmas Day
Christmas
in
Day.
Pennsylvania.
Nice.
We actually we had a tradition. I don't know if it I can't remember how many times we did it, but when it was we moved around a lot as a family.
Hmm.
So, and there's times where we couldn't go to Rhode Island for uh Christmas. So like we moved and when no one was around, so the four of us we went and saw Star Trek 4 was the first
Oh,
or Star Trek
nice.
6. Star Trek
Six.
6.
Yep, Star Trek 6 was a December movie for sure.
Okay, it was Star Trek 6. And another connection to my cousin, his girlfriend that lived below me and that was in Star Trek 6 at the time. She was a young girl in Star Trek 6.
Really? I've seen that movie many
Yes.
times, so
Yeah, there's a
yes.
young blonde girl. I don't know if she's in a cave or something. I can't remember the scene.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. I'm sure I'll watch it again. That's one of my kind of I throw on just in the background movies. So the
That,
next time
yeah,
I
that was
watch it, I'll
one
pay
my
attention.
cousin's first girlfriend in California. This is a Kevin Centazzo
You know,
biopic.
we should have had Kevin come
I
on
gotta
this
get
episode.
I gotta get Kevin on one of these
Oh,
days.
that would be great.
Yeah. So yeah, so I saw it and I was into the film. I know it's weird because I remember I rewatched it and I tried to rewatch it one time and I kind of stopped and I'm like, why? Why did I stop? This is the first time I was introduced to Taraji P. Henson, who I
Oh,
thought was fantastic in this
awesome in
film.
this.
She's so good. And old man Brad Pitt, I'm 7, but I look a lot older. Me and my sister still to this day say that to each other. Benjamin Button. We're in church the following. There was this little baby in this plaid
Oh
kind of,
God, oh
and
no.
my sister goes, "This Benjamin Button." It looked like a little Benjamin Button. The baby did look a little old. Um, I know this film's not for everyone, uh, but for me, it's dark. It's the dark Forrest Gump. It's probably more. I guess old man Brad Pitt is like Twilight Zone, the movie kicked the can a little bit. Uh,
Yeah.
but I really like this film. Um, ooh, Havoc. I want to see that with Tommy Hardy.
Oh yeah.
But it's just again, it's Fincher. It's weird, and you feel I got very emotional with this. The way he's aging the other way, and he's talking to Kate Blanchett and that one night in the hotel, and he's getting young.
Yeah.
It fascinated me. And Fincher has a way of just, I mean, God, the amount of detail he in his films. And the I guess the CGI or special effects with Brad Pitt, putting him on the little body, and that was kind
Hmm.
of innovative, or at least something I was
I
just impressed with.
I think it actually still looks pretty good. This is another one a
Yeah.
lot like Aviator, which I hadn't watched since I didn't see this in theaters, but I think I saw it right away when it came out on disc. And that was the last time I watched it because I remember thinking it was okay. I didn't love it at the time, but
Yeah, it wasn't the game, it wasn't Fight Club, it
and
wasn't Seven.
that's a big part of why because I was a big Fincher fan and I'm like, what is he? I was like, at the time, I remember thinking, oh, he's trying to win awards, is what I was thinking with this film because it wasn't Fight Club, it wasn't Seven, it wasn't The Game, which I love all three of those.
Yeah,
And
those are like in my top
yeah, and so
50.
when I didn't get that experience or even anything, not that those are all the same movie, but they have a different, very different feel than this thing does.
There's a feel like those movies like Panic Room is kind of in between.
Yeah.
Like it's not quite Seven, but it's
Hmm.
Fincher-esque and it's what
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know.
for sure.
But like yeah, Benjamin Button was a total different, and I think I appreciate that too. Like he didn't do Fight Club 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, when you tackle something like this, and of course Brad Pitt can do no wrong in my world.
Yeah. Well, and
Um,
I think because I did rewatch a bunch of it on just a couple days ago. I didn't rewatch the whole thing, but I was like, I'd at least want to give this a fair shot again and watch some of it again and see if it's. And with my expectations changed, I still didn't love this film, but I at least appreciate it, and I liked it a lot more than the first time I saw it because
yeah,
I wasn't expecting some kind of crime thriller or
right,
some
right,
type of pulse pounding tension or something.
yeah,
Yeah, does it feel it? The weird thing, it actually made me feel like it felt like a biopic, but not of anybody
it
that we
did.
know. It
Yeah,
feels like a biopic,
it does.
which
It does.
which
Maybe
is
that's kind
very
of the way he
yeah.
was. you're
That I
going for, maybe.
I think it almost has to be because because and like Forrest Gump also feels like a biopic of a fictional character is basically
It
kind of what it
is.
is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, and I did not remember that this is like centered around Hurricane Katrina. I completely forgot that was a major plot point in this film because I mean
Oh, yes.
you
I
talk
didn't even, I forgot
at the
about that.
beginning, at the very beginning, you see Kate Blanchett in old age, like right on her deathbed, and you in the background you hear, "Oh, this hurricane there." That you can tell it's in New Orleans, and you're like, "This
That's
hurricane
right.
is coming through, and it's da da da," and
Oh my
it
God.
it bookends the hurricane basically hits at the end of the. I don't know, like I completely forgot about all that stuff was going on because they
Forgot
filmed
about
it in
that.
New Orleans, in and around there, not long after that happened, a couple years after. So it's and also like Aviator, the production is just crazy good. I mean, the directing is amazing. The scene, the set decoration, the costumes, every special effects, everything, acting is all fantastic. So
Yeah.
it's one I'm glad I went back to watch again because I had a different view of it. My opinion has changed and improved quite a bit on this
See,
one. It's
the
still not a
film
film I
list
love, but
is re-energizing movies
yes.
that you may not have remembered liking, but you go back and you're like, hey, you know
Well,
what?
like this is one I had. Like I said, I have the Criterion Blu-ray of this. That's how it came out. I think was the Criterion. So I
Yeah.
have it sitting there, and it just kept sitting there. And I'm like, I need to rewatch it sometime. And I'm like, oh, I don't really feel like because it's also like Aviator. This is a long movie too.
It's a long freaking movie.
It's like
Yeah.
pushes 3 hours. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to sit and watch it for 3 hours. I didn't. And granted, I did not watch the whole thing today, but I watched or yesterday. I watched like two-thirds of it probably,
Yeah.
but it's still. I definitely. I don't know. It's improved upon age for me. I think a lot of that's just the resetting my Fincher
It's,
expectation at that
you know,
time.
sometimes with films, it's funny because remember Jackie Brown comes out after Pulp Fiction
Yep.
and people are like, this ain't Pulp Fiction.
Yep.
But if you watch it later, it becomes even better and a better film when you don't
That's
compare it to Reservoir and Pulp.
that is a
It's
great
not.
that is a great comparison to this because that is exactly the same. Because I mean, I revisited Jackie Brown much sooner, but I remember thinking that after Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, I'm like, oh, this is so boring and why the.
Yeah.
But when I rewatched Jackie Brown, I'm like, whoa, this is
Jackie Brown
awesome.
gets better with age
Yeah, oh,
because
for
of like
sure.
the circumstance of
Yeah,
you're waiting for your director's next film and it's not giving you the same
yeah,
experience. What the heck? This must be bad. No, it's not. It's
yeah.
different,
It's
you know,
different.
rum
Yeah, so
punch. But
yeah.
it also it won best art direction, right? Best makeup
Yep.
and best visual effects and was
Hmm.
nominated for a crap load. Oh, that was the Slumdog Millionaire year.
Yeah, 13 noms. So yeah, another I think we have three films on this set of 10 that have over 10 nominations. So the other one we haven't talked about yet. So
Oh,
so yeah, another big say just a and like I said, just Jared Harris actually really stuck out to me in this because at the time I had no idea who Jared Harris is, and man, he is playing the alcoholic captain of the boat that Ben Button goes to
there.
work on.
Have you
Man,
ever
he's good.
seen the movie The Wild Geese?
No, I don't. I'm not
Okay.
even familiar with the Wild Geese.
Okay. The Wild Geese will be on the film list in a few hundred movies. So you have time. And I'll
Yeah.
remind you. Roger Moore, Jared Harris, tons of the British actors. Freaking Richard Burton.
No, not Jared Harris. His dad, Richard Harris.
Oh, Richard. Oh, yes, Jared.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now.
Richard Harris. I'm sorry.
They're
I'm
both
sorry,
amazing
Richard Harris.
actors.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. Yeah. That's what I meant to say. Richard Harris. Uh,
oh yeah, I
is
don't have
such a.
any.
It's a great. It's like they're mercenaries who try to go rescue. I think the king of South Africa
Oh my
or
God.
some.
Okay. Yes. Here's the summary from IMDb. A British banker hires a former British Army colonel turned mercenary to parachute into Africa with his team and rescue a deposed president of a South African nation from the hands of a corrupt dictator. I don't need to hear any more. I'm in on that one.
It's 73. No, no, it would have been
78.
78, 78. Yeah, because Roger Moore was doing the buzz. Roger Moore is so cool and awesome in this film. Richard Burton's Richard Burton. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a film me and my dad. I'm
Mm.
doing the Wild Geese on the film list right now, but it was during the revolution of renting and recording to keep. Wild Geese was
Uh-huh.
one of those movies that my
Uh-huh.
dad let me watch because I never was allowed to watch like rated R or
Yep,
whatever
I
movies at
wasn't
that age.
either. Yep.
So so it was like a movie we enjoyed together, a man's movie. And so I recently rewatched it the other night, and it goes even. I'm trying to find where it's gonna go.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to prioritize. I had never even heard
It's
of it. If I
fun.
had, I don't remember it, so I will have to check that one out.
Yeah. No, there's some of those movies that like the Wild Geese. There's another one that I was just oh White Heat. Is it White Heat or Big Heat?
I think
The
there's a White Heat. I don't think I've seen that though. There might
no,
be
the
Big Heat
one
too.
the Big Heat, the one with oh God, I'm getting old, Ando.
Yeah, we all are. White Heat stars James Cagney.
Okay, no,
That's
not White
that's from
Heat.
the 40s.
The Big Heat. That was the guy who played in '78 and Donner Superman played Mr. Kent. What's his name? Glenn Ford.
Hmm.
In the show Sugar, they show some clips.
Oh, what the heck is the name of that?
So Glenn Ford, it's the Big Heat, I think, isn't it?
It's the Big Heat.
It's not the Big Heath, but the Big Heat.
Let's see.
As Axel would say, this is the fun part of the pod where we're looking up
Yeah,
stuff.
where we Google.
I have the
Um,
freaking Blu-ray. I just watched it the other day.
okay, I'm on Glenn Ford right now.
Yeah, the Big Heat, I think. 1953, the Big Heat.
Okay.
They have a
Oh, here
credit
I see. 7.9 on IMDb. That's a pretty good rating for an older film.
that film does things that you're watching a 1953 film, you're like, wait, someone's blowing up in a car and dies, and you're like, I wasn't expecting that from Leave It to Beaver, black and white.
Well, directed by Fritz Lang, he made Metropolis. That's kind of a big.
Yes.
Hmm. I'll
So
have to
anyway,
I'll have to get
what
that
do
on
we?
the list too.
Oh, we haven't
Uh,
gone.
we,
We went
yeah,
on a tangent.
we're still on Benjamin Button.
Oh, see what you did to
Um,
us, Fincher. We start talking about
yes,
all
he
kinds of
just
movies.
goes. Some other trivia about this: Fincher never read the short story, only the Eric Roth script. So he didn't, because there's actually a lot of differences to the short story is actually much more lighthearted
Right.
and not so dark in this. There was also some other. This one was trying to be made for a very long time. In the 70s, Jack Nicholson was attached. In the 80s, Frank Oz was going to direct with Martin Short starring. Spielberg had the rights for a while, and he had Tom Cruise in mind to play the Brad Pitt part.
Oh wow.
In '98, it almost was made with Ron Howard directing, and get this, speaking of Pulp Fiction, John Travolta. Which I can't even picture how that would have worked.
Well,
So
it's Grease Lightning. I got a
yeah,
Benjamin Button in my holy phone, and
I,
I
I like the
keep
musical version.
talking,
That's a
hey, keep talking. You
that's a
look
very
only 7,
different.
but you look like you're 102. I need the money. I need to get the money. All right,
We should cut that audio out and release it as a single on Spotify. We can go right
totally.
to number one.
We'd go right to number one. Or instead of number one, let's go to 808.
Yes, let's do this.
Okay. This next film at 808, an elderly ex-serviceman and widower looks to avenge his best friend's murder by doing out his own form of doling out his own form of justice. The film, recommended to me by my good friend Joe Venegas, saw it at home and fell in love with it. The film is called Harry Brown.
Released on May 14th, 2010, made 1.8 million in the US on a $7 million budget, but this is a very British film, so I don't even consider that as a flop or anything. Directed by
Right.
Daniel Barber, written by Gary Young, um, starring Michael Caine as Harry Brown, Emily Mortimer as D.I. Frampton, Charlie Creed Miles as, oh, I have the D.I. Frampton twice, so I must have another typo there. David Bradley, also known as Walder Frey from Game of Thrones, as Leonard Atwell. Ian Glenn, also known as Jorah Mormont. We have half of
Yes.
the Game of Thrones cast in this as S.I. Childs, Sean Harris as Stretch, Jack O'Connell as Marky, and Sir Davos himself, Liam Cunningham, as Sid Rourke. So another kick-ass actor takes revenge on everybody, just like Man on Fire. Now we have Harry Brown, which is a very different kind of revenge
The
film, but
different revenge film, but man, I love it. Michael Caine. You thinking like even when he's passing those hoodlums, like when he's walking, like because there's that. This film is shot very well. You're in like Britain or whatever, but it's a rough part. It's kind of like a, the
Really rough
not
part.
ghetto,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean, like a rough part of Britain. And you got this old guy just trying to live, but he's, got a history. And I don't want to I'm not going to spoil it because I don't know if Harry Brown has been seen by many people.
And
Probably not.
it's easy to watch. I watched it on Tubi, Tubi a
Okay, it's on
couple weeks
Tubi.
ago, so it is easy to find. So
Cool. Um, yeah, my buddy Joe, I think he gave me, I have the Blu-ray. I thought he might have given me the Blu-ray or told me you have to watch Harry Brown. So, um, it's, this is gonna sound weird, but I almost feel Guy Ritchie could have directed this. Like
I
a
actually
toned, yeah,
I don't think that's weird because I thought this movie was okay. I didn't love it, and I
right.
thought to myself, I wish Guy Ritchie would have directed this because
Yeah,
if for me it's just like 10% too dark. It needed just a little bit of levity, but this, I mean, I was getting depressed watching this because like the
Ando. First of all, I want to apologize for the last couple of film lists. I'm just depressing you. It shows you a lot about me and what I like to watch. And so I'll pay for 3 therapy sessions. Is that what?
well, this is one of the therapy sessions. We're working
Yeah.
through
Okay.
it.
This is the therapy
But
session.
this, I mean, this way in a different way because this one, it wasn't like it was depressing, but it was just like, man, a little humor here or just a little bit of, because like it's sad, like
It's sad.
the way like David Bradley's character, like his best friend, and like the way that the druggy kids are picking on him and doing, I'm like, man, this is just, I feel bad for everybody in the film, and say it's definitely a very well made film, great acting, like everything else, but I wish Guy Ritchie would have directed it. I think I would have that little bit of fun that he adds to it. I think
He
would
would have
have.
made a different. I don't know why we both were thinking that. Probably because it's set in Britain, and we're like, oh, Guy Ritchie. But no, I just this is one of those films where I would love to see the Guy Ritchie version as well, and it'd probably be in my top 300. You know what I
It,
mean? Like I could see Guy Ritchie taking this film, adding his Guy Ritchie-ness, and making it like you know
and I mean, it's
a
quite
new
possible that
experience.
Guy Ritchie would have made it a little too over the top, like
But
tends
it's
to do too.
possible.
So, because I mean, this is more of a serious subject when you dealing with elderly people and some of that, so it's a little bit different. It actually reminded me a little bit in tone of what was that other one we watched not that long ago that was the
London
oh,
Boulevard.
London Boulevard. It reminded me a little bit
Yeah.
of that film as well.
Yeah. I got again. There's part of me. Guy Ritchie's one of my top 10 favorite directors of all time. But he, there's that sliver of I love this British like hoodlum. Like
Yeah.
I love a lot of British stuff. I mean,
Hmm.
there's no question about that. But I was just thrown into this dark world, and maybe I saw it after spending a rainy season in the Czech Republic or something, and I felt like I
That
was in
could-
the Czech. Anyway, it's weird how to, but no, I get it, and I don't mean to put you in
No,
the
no, I'm
home.
still. This was still when I was on my radar because when I saw it because it was I had heard of because I think Kane got a lot of he didn't get any really awards for this, but he got there was like he was in talk. It was like, well, he's a contender for best actor for this film and stuff like that. Never really got so it was on my radar of ones to watch because I'd love Michael Caine and I'd love this cast. So it's
Yeah,
still fun watching everybody in the cast. It's like I say, it just didn't quite.
Davos.
Yes. Well, especially now after knowing all the Game of Thrones people,
I
I'm like,
know they're
well,
in everything, and it's like awesome. I love it.
it's crazy. So yeah, like I say, I don't want to say enjoyed it, but I'm still glad that I watched this film. It wasn't
So
bad.
this
I
is
was
a
just
glad I watched it film
yeah.
list tonight. Glad I watched it, but never gonna watch it again. Heat solo, but glad I watched it.
No, not all of them on this one.
No, I know. Well, the next
Yeah.
the next one definitely. This one is one for me, like one for you, one for me. The studio, one for the studio, do one for you. This one
Perfect.
coming up is one for me.
What is the next one? I got my list. Oh yes, there we go. Yeah,
Okay.
this is like what you're gonna breakneck with the 180 and tone on this one.
Oh yeah, totally. You ready to go to
I
807?
I'm ready to go to
All
807.
right, let's get you out of the darkness into the cheesiness. Okay. This next film, The story of the prefab four and their fight to be taken seriously as musicians. Number 807, Daydream Believers, the monkey story.
Premiered on VH1 on June 28th,
Wow, this is the
2000.
first VH1 movie?
Yes, the first VH1 movie, directed by Neil Fernley, written by Ron McGee, based on the book Hey Hey We're the Monkeys by Harold Bronson, starring George Stanchev as Davy Jones, L.B. Fisher as Peter Tork, Jeff Geddes as Mike Nesmith, Aaron Lohr as Mickey Dolans, Colin Ferguson as Van Foreman, and Wallace Langham as Don Kirshner. We can't get any brighter in tone
Hey, I'm not your stepping
than
stone,
this.
okay? So,
I'm about to take the last train to Clarksville right now, so
okay, with Valerie. Um, so first saw this on Netflix years later. I didn't see it on VH1. It had a Netflix run for a while. So growing up in the 80s, I listened to a lot of my parents' music, of course, being around them. So that's how, got into a lot of 60s, 70s. Then I had my Bon Jovi, Cinderella, and all that stuff. Uh, but my dad had a greatest hits tape. So we would drive of the Monkees, and we would drive from upstate New York to Rhode Island on like holidays and stuff because we had just moved from Rhode Island, so we were going to visit family. So we'd do like a 9 hour trip, whatever it was, and we'd have all the cassettes, and one of them was the Monkees' greatest hits. And I just, as a kid, I was like 8, 9 years old, fell in love with the Monkees. We started watching the TV show. I to this day still listen to the Monkees. They actually have a good album from the 90s that's a little more rock, a little more Mike Nesmith. And there's
really.
Circle Sky is one song from the 90s. I'm like, I didn't know this existed. I'm like, this is really good. My one regret with the Monkees in 2001, I was in Vegas at Mandalay Bay, and they were playing at the Hard Rock on that Sunday when Davy Jones was still alive, Peter
Uh-huh.
Tork, Mickey. I think it was a yeah, it was no, it was yeah, it was Tork, Davy Jones, and Mickey Dolenz. Mike Nesmith wasn't at this concert. And I said, if I win big, we're going to the concert. I said, well, I lost my tail and didn't end up not going to the Monkees. And I'm sad because now Mickey Dolenz is the only one left.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I am a big time Monkees fan. And so when I found this was that, I'm like, okay, I'm like, I believe it's a Canadian production because I think it's all Canadian actors. And I saw Wallace Lang, I'm like, he must be Canadian. It's definitely VH1-ish, cheesy, but I really enjoy the story of it. And I like some of the stuff when there's this one shot we're in the studio and they're singing All of Your Toys, which is a fun song. And then they flash the Headquarters album. Like it was I wanted the definitive Monkeys movie. There's not many out there. I mean, the Monkey's Head that they
It's
did,
it's
but it's not.
really it's surprising nobody has done like a Bohemian Rhapsody or
Yeah, I'm
or
really
the Elton
surprised.
John one or something like this because this is streaming now. It's either on Tubi or Pluto because
Oh,
I've
okay,
tracked it down because I had never seen this. I didn't. If I did, I don't remember it. But the I very similar to you. My mom was a huge Monkees fan. Like she's told me stories about when she walked 2 miles to the record store to go buy the on release that same kind of. I mean, you kind
right.
of see that in the movie even. And so I had to listen to them all the time. And then when I was a kid, like I don't know how I must have been in grade school because I remember getting off the bus and one of the local TV stations here was back to back. It was this and it was Adam West Batman. So I would watch this and Batman back to
Yeah,
back every single day. So I've seen all the episodes many, many times. So this was, like I say, it's definitely a TV movie, but I had a lot of fun watching this because it was
it
even now, it's like
it
the
was
production
fun.
values aren't great. You don't really,
It's
you
a
kind of
TV
reckon,
movie.
yeah,
It's your TV movie bet from back in the day.
I'd say you kind of recognize a couple of the actors, but it's not you don't watch it for that. It's just it's a fun
Watch
reminder
it.
in it. Yeah.
Watch it for the story, the music, because I always heard that they didn't play their own instruments and they were just
Hmm.
hired for a TV show that became a rock band. So there's a lot with the Monkees that goes into the lore. And I was like, what? When my dad told me that when I was a kid, I'm like, what do you mean they don't play the Michael Nesmith's the only one who really, and then um I give them credit because they were always compared to the Beatles. It was like you had to like the Monkees or the Beatles. I'm like, why not
Yeah,
like, can you like both? Is
that's
there
yeah.
Stones, Beatles? Can you like both?
Yeah, I have never gotten that. Just same thing with the Stones and the Beatles. I like both the Stones and the Beatles. So it's not
They're
I'm
great
yeah.
for different reasons.
Hmm.
They're, well, I shouldn't say great. They're the pinnacle. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
They're the greatest for reasons and different reasons. But I guess it's a fun. I mean, back in the day, when the polls in college football, it's more for the rich people to sit around with brandy and cigars and debate
Yes.
who is the best team.
That's exactly
Um,
right.
so it's just it really like I connected with the movie because I'm a big Monkees fan, and it wasn't the greatest movie, but I really enjoyed it, and it got me actually fired up to go back and listen to tracks I didn't know. I bought the Monkees.com, whatever had the limited Blu-ray set of the TV
Oh,
series
oh,
that
really?
they only did like 2,000 of them or something. It's numbered.
Nice.
I bought that stuff, or it might have been more than 2,000. I think it was like $200 or something, but I remember. So I have that, and it's like it's a nice set.
It's I after watch because I same thing. I think I watched this one over the weekend while I actually watched it while I was working on notes, and I ended up watching more of the show than I did taking my notes. So the say it was fun. I'm actually I think I'm gonna go and back and listen to some of that music again because it's been so long since I've listened to any of it
Oh,
that
I love it.
it's yeah.
I was obsessed because then I want to, no, maybe not. I couldn't remember because I remember when I was a kid. So this was shocking to me. So I'm watching the Monkees TV show for the first time, and it's in the 60s. We're in the 80s, 20 years later, or whatever. And then the Monkees came out with a new album called That Was Then and This Is Now with I think one. I mean, That Was Then, This Is Now. They did the cover. That's a cover, but they did the video. And I remember seeing Davy Jones, and I'm like, he's old, tan and old. There's actually another album they did called Pool It, the Monkees Pool It, and they're in the pool, and he's so dark. And I'm like, I couldn't, as a 9-year-old kid, I couldn't understand why they look so old now. I mean,
Yeah,
I quickly figured it out that they're just older. But like you
we
had
all
to, like
do. Yeah.
when you're watching a show, it's like you watch Friends. If you keep watching Friends and Friends, and then you see the cast years later, you're like, they're not friend. And I'm like, yeah, people age. Um,
Yep.
but
Yeah, especially
I'm
for
just,
those kind of people that are really, really popular and they kind of stay out of the limelight for a while, and then you see them return. It can be shocking sometimes.
I, I mean, I doubt they'll ever make a bigger budget Monkeys movie. You never know. It's possible.
I
Um, I
it
don't
just
know.
seems so right because, like I said, the story is so unique that it's a group of guys that they basically hired to just be faces of a band, not be an actual band, and then they kind of learn to do their own thing, and just it's
Even like when Davy Jones goes back to Britain, and it's just like you forget. Like we were watching. I bought my dad for Christmas one year was the old Ed Sullivan show, but it had the Beatles performances
oh yeah, yeah.
on the same show. I think it was the first Beatles performance or the second. There was this troupe that came on. It was this young troupe, and they were singing, and it was Davy Jones at like 18, 17, so maybe like 15 years old. He was very young, but he was a
Hmm.
singer and kind of was doing that. And I'm like, oh my God, Davy Jones. And Mickey Dolenz still tours. My parents saw them in concert a couple of years ago. My mom has a cool Mickey Dolenz concert tee, which I really like.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah.
I almost went because Mickey was playing at the Pantages here in Hollywood,
Hmm.
and then I guess it was the Monkees. So I'm like, I want to see the Monkees live. I mean, granted, it's only Mickey Dolenz, but they did tributes to
Yeah.
the former members and stuff, and but it wouldn't be the same. But it would be nice to kind of hear the songs
Yeah,
live.
it's still yeah,
Just
it's still
it's still a little nostalgic for me, even
it's
though it wasn't even in my youth. It was my parents' youth, but it was syndication in the 80s
yeah,
where the Monkees.
and that's something actually that's kind of been lost now because there's so many TV shows coming out all the time that people aren't going
Yeah.
back to watch old stuff like that, I don't think. Which
Yeah,
is
no, it's so. I think as you get older, like I see my dad does that a lot. He'll go back to shows he never saw from the 50s or the 60s, and they're on Tubi or whatever, and he watches the whole freaking season. the whole
Yep.
series. Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
they're
think.
just finally finishing. I got them the Mission Impossible series Blu-ray set a couple years
Oh,
ago, and
nice.
I started watching that. It's the first season, like the pilot's really good, and then it's a little rough. It's
Well, and they had to make so many episodes of that show
oh,
every year. So like my dad is, I think, is still working his way through Hogan's Heroes again. That's one of his all-time. So he
oh
still
yeah,
goes back and
Hogan's
watches that
Heroes is
old stuff
great.
too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. We have one more film left or
one
two?
more.
One. All right. You want to go back in time?
Let's go back in time.
All right. Not Back to the Future, but Back in Time. Even though
I'm
there was a
I'm
song called Back in Time by Huey.
I'm pretty sure Back to the Future will be in 5 or 6 years before we get to that film. So
I know. Yeah. It's weird. All right. Coming in at 8:06 is a film as an infantry battalion assembles to wage war deep in enemy territory. Two soldiers are assigned to race against time and deliver a message that will stop 1,600 men from walking straight into a deadly trap. The film, Oscar Award winner, 1917.
limited release on Christmas Day 2019. I think this is like the third or fourth Christmas release we've had this podcast too. Uh,
Uh,
wide wide release January 10th, 2019. Or 2020, excuse me. December and then
oh
2020
yeah, yeah.
January wide release. Made
Oh, talk about going
159.
back in time, Mando.
Yeah,
That
I'm
would have been.
confusing myself here. Made 159 million on a 95 million dollar budget. Opened at number one, dethroned Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Stayed for 1 week and was replaced by Bad Boys for Life. Directed by Sam Mendes. It's his second film list film. 939 was American Beauty. Written by Christy Wilson Cairns and Sam Mendes. Starring George McKay as Lance Corporal Schofield. Dean Charles Chapman as Lance Corporal Blake. Daniel Mays as Sergeant Sanders. Colin Firth as General Aaron Moore. Mark Strong as Captain Smith. Andrew Scott as Lieutenant Leslie, another Game of Thrones alum, Richard Madden as Lieutenant Joseph Blake, Benedict Cumberbatch as Colonel Mackenzie, and roughly a third of the rest of the British acting population is also in this film. So, or at least male British
Well,
acting, because there's really not any women in this at all for reasons, obviously, when
oh,
we
then
get to
how
the
did this make
story.
the film list? So
So, yeah, 1917 Solo.
1917. I didn't see it in the theater. I bought the 4K Blu-ray and just watched it at home because I knew wanted to see the film, and it was during the time where I used to go to the theater all the time, as I mentioned, and then life gets in
Mm-hmm.
the way, and you just don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy to watch things at home.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but visually, this film is unbelievable.
It's
It
incredible.
is. It is. I mean, it's breathtaking. I was into it. I was sucked in to this journey. Um, I just, I was happy when it won Best Picture for once. A picture winning Best Picture, I was happy for. Did it win? It won, right?
No, it was
Oh, it didn't
nominated.
win.
It lost, and it lost to director to Bong Joon-ho and Parasite.
That's right.
There
And I
was
love.
some great. This was a great crop of movies the year that this was
See,
nominated. So
years later, I think it won Best Picture. I
yeah,
assumed it won Best Picture.
it also had
I
it
do
had
love
10
Parasite,
nominations.
though.
So,
I do
but
love
it did win cinematography, visual effects, and sound mixing. So, but yes, it was up for 10. So yeah, there
It
yeah.
didn't.
Continue with
Why?
your
I don't know
1917.
why. Yeah, I don't know why. Wow. I
I
just
think
assumed it won.
I
What the
think in a
heck?
lot of I think in a lot of other years, I think it would have. Because I think most of the movies that have won Best Picture since then, I think this would have beaten almost every one of them.
I think you're right. Um, this was a tough one for me to to put on the film list because if you're talking about again best movies ever made, this is way up. I guess because I've only seen it once. I haven't rewatched it. I loved it. I'm glad I own it, and then I just for some reason never went back to it, and I didn't have time. I should I would have liked to gone back to it. If we were doing a podcast just on 1917, I would have. But it visually it knocked it out of the park for me. Um, and again, it just wow. And it was one of the tougher movies to like I was saying to position on the list because I was like, is this could be like my one of my favorite films ever. It
Hmm.
could be an okay. I mean, it's just like I don't didn't know where to put it, so I put it here because again, sometimes we put movies in and I don't have the longevity with it, or some.
Hmm.
This movie, I guess I penalize movies. Well, not penalize, but because I was saying if I've had 20 years with this movie, it might be higher. I haven't had it
Well,
as much, but like
what I
it's
do and stuff like that is I basically handicap newer movies because I have I do this with everything and everybody does. I have such a damn recency bias
yeah.
with everything that I know for newer stuff. I'm like, oh, it's the best Marvel movie ever, or it's the best Bond movie ever, or whatever it is. And I know just over my years of making lists, my own stupid lists in myself, I'm like, I have to wait a few years before I can truly put it with the greats, just because it's so easy to walk out of a movie and just be like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing ever.
Yeah.
And it takes time. This film, like I say, I would have no idea where to rank this film for a lot of the same reasons you said. This film is
Yeah.
fucking fantastic. It's, I remember the exact, I was able to find the exact day I found this because I remember very vividly seeing this for the first time. I saw this in a theater. And the whole reason I had seen it is because I think I've mentioned it before, where the place I take my car to do auto body work, there's a big, like a 10 screen theater right next there. So
Right.
I had like an hour or 2 hour repair thing, and I saw that was playing. And also that same day, later on that evening, you and myself and Axel were supposed to do an Oscar podcast that night. And you ended up canceling. I remember email, and I had never podcasted with you ever. It was supposed
Oh,
to be the
okay.
first time I was supposed to podcast with you, and you had to cancel because you had some other appointment. So went back and looked at my emails. February 5th of 2020 is when I saw it, and because we were doing the Oscar, and that was up for Oscars. So I'm like, we're doing this pod later. I'm going to go see this movie so I can talk about it. So I've talked about this on a pod with Axel, and
Oh,
I even
good.
said I just saw this movie this morning, and I hadn't watched it again, and not because I didn't love it, because this movie. I mean, I knew when I walked out of this thing, I think this is a masterpiece, but it's a movie that I cannot watch a ton of times
Right.
because it
Right.
is so goddamn intense and it is so, and seeing it in a theater, I mean, it actually was a very cool theater experience too, because when I was going to this thing, it was a matinee because I was getting my car worked on, so it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The email. That's why I was able to track the email. I sent you guys the email about something like 5 minutes while I was waiting for the movie to start, sitting in the theater.
Oh,
But that's how I remember it. But when I was in line to buy popcorn, I was probably the youngest person in that theater by 30 or 40 years because
yeah.
everybody that was in there was 60, 70 years old. All because retirees are a huge, I mean, they go to matinees like crazy, especially around
Yeah.
here. They don't have a lot of other things to do, but it was a ton of war vets and like they were talking to me and like, what are you going to see? And like it was just an awesome experience listening to all of them
Oh,
talk about it. And
nice.
it was very, very cool. So I'm watching it with all these, and I mean, you can hear people crying in the theater and
Ugh.
I hate to say an awesome experience because it's not awesome, but it's just a,
Same with Saving Private Ryan. My
yes,
experience with that, it's an
that's,
yeah. You can't say awesome because there's people crying and getting
maybe
emotional,
an
but
unforgettable movie experience, maybe.
an experience. It's just an experience, and it's okay to
And,
feel those emotions while
and
watching
that,
movies. And
like I say, that experience, and I like the way it's filmed when they're running through the trenches, and like it's like you're in the on the big screen, and the sound, and you hear the mortars firing all surround. I mean, it was shell shock, and like you said, Saving Private Ryan. It's the closest thing I can think of that I can even compare
yeah,
this to. And the only reason why, like Saving Private Ryan is still up way on my top films. The reason I think that's different is when I saw Saving Private Ryan, I was exactly the same age as those guys in that film and those soldiers. And
right.
like I said, my step grandpa was on one of the beaches, and I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about Private Ryan at some point. So
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
heard the firsthand stories and all that. So I connected
right.
with that much more than I did with this on a personal level. But this movie, and say I watched it a little bit more today, this morning, just because I'm like I just want to refresh myself to see if it's as good as I remember. So I kind of skipped around, and this movie is just mind blowing. The filmmaking, everything, the acting,
Yeah,
it's just the realism. I mean, there's some of the stuff that like just little things like you see like rats everywhere because that was a huge thing, and you see like the horses that were killed because all most of the warfare was done on horses. So you see horse and you see the dead fly. I mean, the realism is just like it's actually more of a horror film than a war
yeah.
film. And I mean, I need to watch it again when I actually watch the whole thing because it's just an awesome, awesome film. But like I said, I wouldn't
Yeah.
have any clue where to rank it because I can't say it's one of my favorite films. But
I think for me, Endo, I didn't have the connection to it like a Saving Private Ryan
yeah,
did.
and I
It was
that's
weird. I had a huge connection with, I mean, my grandfather was in World War II,
hmm
but I don't know. Maybe it's because it's Matt Damon and Tom Hanks and the experience. See, what hurts this film for me, I did not see it in the theater, and I didn't have that experience.
yeah,
I had the home
it's
video experience that, man, I wish I saw this in the theater.
yeah, because it's I say I have the 4K sitting here too, and it's just not it's still amazing. And I mean, it sucked me back in, but I it's one of those like at some point I've it's a list I've been thinking in my head for a long time is to make a list of my top 10 favorite or best film experiences in a theater because it's
Mhm.
definitely different than what that this would be way up there for film
Yeah,
experiences
because
in a
Hand That
theater.
Rocks the Cradle would be in my top 10. It's not the
Yeah.
movie, but like the
Yeah.
experience I had, edge of your seat, everyone in the crowd freaking
That's exactly right. Like
going,
I
oh,
crazily enough, one of those films that I had would be in mind is Rush Hour with Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. I was in a sold out place in Minneapolis and it was just people were hooting and hollering. I was in the minority, so I was in a very, very different crowd that I'm normally used to. So people are just having fun. It's like a party in the theater. It was amazing. So it's
yeah,
this was one of
old
those.
school was like that for me. It was just
Oh,
like so
oh,
much fun.
that was another great film
Um,
experience. I can't wait to talk about
and
old school
then
at some
I
point
had a
too.
great
Yeah.
experience in Driving Miss Daisy. We got kicked out like 5 minutes in because we were high school and going, freshmen in high school.
Oh,
That was when we went to the movies
uh-huh.
every Friday after our football game. And that was like Days of Thunder, Uncle Buck, um,
Oh, nice.
Driving Miss Daisy, Ghost. It was around, so 89. It
Uh-huh.
was, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, we got kicked out of a lot of movies then. We're just high school kids thinking we're cool and to be
Of
loud and
course.
funny.
Yeah. This another notable reason why I remembered when this was is this is the last movie I saw in theaters before COVID
Wow.
because
Okay.
I saw it in February and after I mean that stuff everything started shutting
Wow.
down a month or so later. So it was
Yes.
because this
Wow.
was like the last one for like 2 or 3 years before I went back to a theater again. So it was a I have a lot of memories associated with this
Yeah, you
film.
have
So
this probably would be higher on your list because of that the experience and stuff.
but it's at the same time, like you said, it's not like I say, Private Ryan's probably in my top 100. This
Private Ryan's in my top
it
30.
as I say, it might even be
Mine's
higher, but
really higher. Yeah, mine's
but
really high. And
and like I
spoiler
said,
alert.
when I saw that, I was that was 98, so I was 21 when that came out. So I all the kids that are in that besides Tom Hanks, everybody else is in their tw or playing kids in their 20s. So it was that oh, yeah, that movie we might that'll be
Yeah.
when we yeah,
Well,
that'll
that's
be
going
a
to be tough
conversation.
because those podcasts, we're not going to be able to do 10 films, like I mentioned.
Yeah,
Like,
I
there's going to
know.
come to a point where we may have it and then we say, you want to stop there, kind of like maybe be prepared for 10, but,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, for sure.
well, some of the
So
movies will get their own pod.
yeah, that's well that would be a good time to bring. Maybe that's when we start bringing more guests on too, because that would be
Yeah, we can really, yeah, yeah, we'll get creative.
yeah.
We'll get creative.
So either way, that's I mean this film. I think it's like I said, it probably would be higher on my list, but it still wouldn't be a top tier just because of it doesn't have every connection. But I think it's a really
Yeah.
really
Plus,
freaking awesome film.
plus with the film list, it's like, okay, I'm talking 1,000 films. Again, a film ahead of this might not even be nearly as good as this, but my experience and
Yeah, yeah,
my like
that's all of it.
it's tough. So but I had to get this film on the list
Yeah,
because
for
it
sure.
deserves to be talked about. And it is, yeah, if we were doing best made films of all time, this would be very
Yeah,
high.
that's exactly right. Because say it's not like is this a better made film than The Goonies? Of course it is, but it's not a better for me.
But
It's not a
it's
better film
but it's
than The
yeah.
Goonies. So
Yeah.
that's
That's the fun of it. All
yeah,
right. So
exactly.
Ando, let's recap. 8:15 was Saturday night. 8:14 Southland Tales. 8:13 Man on Fire. 8:12 an Uzi at the Alamo. And real quick at Uzi at that there's a censor joke, but I So I had one of my when I was bartending, and one of my old guys. I was telling him about a newsie at the Alamo, and he goes, "You're in a porn?" I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "A pussy at the Alamo." He was a Mexican. He thought I was saying a pussy at the Alamo. So that became a running joke for a couple of years.
That's great.
So 812 pussy at the Alamo. 811 the Aviator. 810 Midnight Express. 809 The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. 808 Harry Brown. I'm doing this off a clipboard and it's not working for me. That's what 807 Daydream Believers, The Monkey Story. 806 1917. No, not a Taylor Sheridan Western series. This, this
Maybe
is
there'll be
World
the
War One.
crossover on Paramount Plus here in a
Yeah.
couple of years.
Wow, we're getting close to 800. Five more.
Yeah, we're very, very close.
Wow, we're breaking. Trying to think. Oh, we always said like 100 a year. So, because in Portland, I think
Uh-huh.
we said that. So,
I think we're ahead of that pace though.
oh, are we? Yeah, we probably are.
Well, you restarted it right before you went to check.
Oh, yeah. So that was two. That would be
Because
two
you and
year.
Axel did the first episode, and then you and
Right,
I, and then Axel and I did the next one while you were over there.
right. So it would have been this. So in 2 years, yeah, it'll be about. Well, we still have a whole. That's
Yeah,
right. Oh
we
no,
still
two
have the
years
whole
would be
summer.
September. No, it would be 2 years. So it'll average 100 a year.
We
But I
might
think you're right. We did more this year.
we might get to a quarter of the way through it by 2 years though, because
Yeah.
by September we might get to 750. That's a quarter of the way through.
Oh yeah.
I
It's
think
very
if my math is correct.
possible. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, no, that's like 5 or 6 pods.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We could
yeah.
probably
I
do
think
it,
I
or at
think I
least,
think we
yeah,
can do it. Yeah.
yeah, we
All
might be
right.
able to. Hey, you
Uh-huh.
never know. Remember, you can go to dvrpodcast.com for all the stuff that we do, our backlog of shows we cover: Game of Thrones, Mindhunter, Mayor of Kingstown, Murder at the End of the World. Currently covering the HBO Max series Duster, Josh Holloway. If you want, become a patron. As I'm watching a son of a bitch, Jorge Soler's up in the bottom of the ninth. So I look up, they're showing everyone jumping around. I'm like, yes, walk off home. Oh no, that's from May 7th. Thank you. When you watch baseball without sound, actually, I haven't even really been watching it. Yeah, it's 1-1 in the bottom of the ninth. Anyway, what the hell was I talking about?
Duster.
Oh yeah, okay. And if you want to support independent podcasting, you go to patreon.com/DVR for a couple bucks a month. You become a free patron or a paid patron, I should say. You can do free, try it out, and if you like it, upgrade. It just helps with, you know, getting this podcast running, and we want to do more. So, the more following we get, the best. And also, um, I'm going to be starting a contest soon. I forgot to bring them with me. I have them in another room and I don't feel like getting up and getting them. But I'm going to start for the film list and daily DVR, which is our main, maybe all our podcasts. I'm going to run a contest where you write a review, give us a good rating, and you put hashtag SCM for Star City Murders, and you enter to win a Blu-ray or a DVD copy of the film. And every 10 we get, we'll have a drawing. So,
Nice.
and it's across the platforms. I know what we have to figure out because there's some foreign that maybe
Yeah.
don't register. So for every 10 reviews for like our DVR podcast families, we're going to start. Now you can get ahead of the game by leaving us a review. We could use them especially for the film list because we just branded this. We also have our own feed. We're on Daily DVR. We're on Patreon. We're on YouTube, but we have our own feed. So subscribe to the audio pod on wherever you get your pods. The film list. See a nice Jaws DVR covered made by Ando. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Uh, and I think that's about it, Ando.
Subscribe to the YouTube page too. if
Oh,
you haven't done
please.
that.
And we're on the daily DVR page, right? Is that what it's called?
DVR
Or
Podcast Network.
DVR podcast. I'm staring at Axel's daily DVR.
Yes, that
That's a
little
good,
logos.
that's a good,
Yes.
that's a good, what do you call it? Advertisement?
Yeah.
Promo?
Yeah. Sure.
Promotion.
Promo.
Yeah,
Promo. There you go.
yeah. So yeah, so a couple fun, and again, Star City Murders, my film, primarily on Amazon Prime and Tubi. Please, even if you watched it, maybe you're at home doing some dishes, throw it on, let it run. It brings our numbers up.
Let it run. Let it run all night long. Just put it on repeat. Put the
Can you
kids
do
to it.
that? You
They'll fall asleep. I don't know if
Yeah,
you
the
put it on
kids will
repeat,
probably
but
put the kids to sleep really quick.
wake up every 110 minutes and press play again.
Yeah,
It's
there you
not that
go.
hard, people. Set
What
an
is that like
alarm.
doing the numbers in Lost, waking up every
Yes,
few hours?
push the button. It's exactly like the numbers on Lost.
When do they put how many hours was it?
108 minutes, wasn't it?
108 was it? Yeah.
How long is Star City Murders? That's probably pretty close to that, isn't it? Do you remember how long it is?
It's like 83 minutes or 88 minutes.
Well,
No,
so
that's
you
the Al
don't even
Pacino
have to.
movie.
Yeah, you don't have
It's
to.
the 80 something minutes. Yeah.
So every 85 minutes, go press the button,
Yeah. Press the button.
juice those numbers up a little bit.
Juice those numbers.
Yeah.
All right, Ando. Any last words for our community of
I
communes?
I don't think so. This was another fun episode again. So it's always a blast talking films with you. So
We'll do this again very
yes,
soon.
let's get out of here.
All right, Ando.